welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundi, we got the Four Nations Faceoff rosters that have been all announced now. They've been slowly getting leaked over the last several days until we finally got the official actual teams. That's definitely going to take up the majority of this episode, so I guess I'll leave it up to you. Do we want to go over that like right off the top, or do we want to talk about some of the recent news in the league before getting to the meat and potatoes there?
Let's just start off with covering some news around the league, and then because the majority of it will be kind of talking about these Four Nations face-off rosters, so we can
Yeah.
save that to the end, and then we can go however long we want to
Yeah.
go with that.
A lot of surprising picks there, so it's going to be a good conversation because I remember when I saw it, I saw the Canadian team, and I was like, they're crazy. And then you texted me, and you're like, they're not the only ones who made some interesting choices. We'll put it that way. So we'll get to that afterwards. But I guess kicking it off, let's grab some of these news here. There's a couple of different injury news, some good, some bad. One of the first ones is T. Jaginla, the first ever franchise pick for the Utah Hockey Club, will miss the rest of the WHL season after having hip surgery. I got to imagine they knew this was coming, so I guess it makes sense why he's not on the World Juniors roster. Don't know if he would.
I would assume so, yeah.
But yeah, he was having a pretty stellar year. I think he had like 30 some points in like 20 games. So yeah, hopefully, like I'm very curious what this means. Like after he misses an entire WHL season, I got to imagine they were kind of hoping that he'd come to the NHL level next year. Like, is he going to need another season of WHL after this one now, or is he going to have
it's tough.
improved after having surgery? Like,
I'm just gonna look up how old is Aginla right now.
I believe he's 18.
Is he still 18? Yeah, he is. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
so he wouldn't even be eligible to go to the AHL next year. So yeah, it's either back to the WHL form to Kelowna, or plays with Utah.
play for Utah.
Yeah, it's not ideal. It's really not an ideal spot, but either way, he'll be fine. He'll rehab the injury. He'll come back, and probably my expectations he probably would go back to Kelowna, I think, again next year. And I think in that he would also have the chance next year as well to play in the World Juniors, where he'd be 19 at the time. So I would assume he would be like a lock to make the team next year.
Yeah. Would he be able to play a couple games with the team, like have that kind of stint before burning a year of his contract and then go back to the WHL?
Yep.
Or okay. I wasn't sure if you were locked
he could play,
WHL.
8 games, 7 games, 9 games, whatever. With actually, I don't think you can do 9. I think it's 8. I think that once you hit 9, it's either 9's the maximum or 9's when you burn a year. So we'll just say 8.
Yeah, I think
he could play 8
eight's
games, 8 of like the first 13, 14 games of the season with Utah, and then they could send him back down to the WHL for the rest of the year and let him go tear up that league, let him go play in the World Juniors and all that. So
yeah,
which I think is the best way to go about it for both the team and for the player.
Yeah, I think they'll probably give him a tryout stint at the start of next season. See if he can, but more than likely he goes back down.
And I mean, like if he comes in at the start of the next year and he's playing terrific, and there's no major holes in his game, he very well could just spend the whole year with Utah. Like they're not forced to send him down. It would just be their decision if they want to do that.
Yeah. So
lots of options are available for how they want to go about it next year.
Unfortunately, not moving on from hip injuries specifically, even Tyler Seguin is out for 4 to 6 months. He is going to undergo hip surgery. He should be back just as good as before after the surgery's done, but 4 to 6 months is a long time. But that lines up pretty nicely right now with the playoffs. We've
Yeah,
we've
if,
seen
yeah, for
teams in the
about
past kind of,
4 or
you know,
5 months.
yeah, teams, if you're supposed to be if you're cleared to return after 3.5 months and the playoffs are in 4 months, it wouldn't be the first time we saw a team say, "Hey, he's not ready yet. He's not ready yet. Oh, it's April. He's ready." So
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if that. Tyler Sagan, is he still making like 9 mil?
I was gonna say, yeah, so it's kind of this injury's kind of like it sounds weird to say, but, it honestly is kind of bittersweet for Dallas,
It's a bit of a blessing
um,
in disguise,
because,
honestly.
I mean, it does suck, up front because Sagan is having has been having a terrific year, 20 points in 19 games.
For a
He's
resurgence.
outshining the usual, guys on Dallas, like the Robertson, the Wyatt Johnston, the Rupe Hintz, like he's outshining those guys. He was a big part of, their early on success along with Matt Duchene. But I mean, yeah, like you're Dallas and you're sitting there having $1 million in available cap space, kind of going throughout the year. Well, you just had just a little bit under $10 million now open up as you're going to be putting Sagan on LTIR. He might be able to come back for the playoffs at the start, if not maybe second round if Dallas goes there, which I assume they probably will. So that's not bad to, now go from $1 million in cap space to almost having like pretty much you now have 11 million that you can so you can add a decent amount at the deadline if you choose to do so. So it's
Yeah, that's
there's pros and cons to it. It does suck because Tyler Sagan really was having a great bounce back year, and was kind of picking up the slack that for a lot of other guys who are really struggling to start the year. Um, but again, like that's huge to already be a top team in the West. Like you think about the top teams in the West. Dallas is one of the top three. Whether you've got
yeah,
them 1, 2, or 3, I don't care. But they should be in everybody's top 3 in the West.
yeah.
And you now have $11 million in cap space you can play around with, even whether it's now or at the trade deadline. That's nice. That's really nice for them, though.
Yeah. I would not be at all shocked to see them make big moves closer to the deadline with that space once they know
You
his
have to.
exact timeline and knowing when he would come
Yeah.
back and if they can
Like
feasibly bring him back in the playoffs.
yeah, you have to basically go all in. Like Matt Duchene, you re-signed him after a terrific year last year when you got him after Nashville just kind of dumped him. He re-signed. He's only making $3 million for this year, 1 year deal. That is dirt cheap for a guy that's on all accounts kind of carrying your team over the last little bit with Mason Marchment. So
Yeah.
when you've got something like that, and especially when you've got veterans like you've got Jamie Benn, he is on the last year of his 9.5. You've got Dadnov, kind of a depth player, but again, he's 35. Uh, like the time is to go all in. It's been that time for Dallas for a while, and now having this much money, like there's no reason why they shouldn't, you know,
Be the
be
biggest
going out and
buyers.
grabbing some. Yeah, like I don't know exactly who. I think maybe you grab a forward and a defenseman. Uh, but they've
Yeah,
got options, and they,
you
they
could
have so
grab
many options available now. You can grab
three.
anybody.
Yeah, you could grab three, possibly four really solid players with that much cap
Mhm.
space. Adding that to an already contending team is massive. Like,
Especially with teams like the Rangers,
yeah,
might be looking to ship some guys out Nashville. I think I think they're on the verge of just ready to blow it up, honestly. Um,
yeah,
and
and if
there's
you can
other
get them
teams
to
like
retain,
San Jose has
like,
guys that could be good additions for Dallas.
yeah, like,
There's just so many things you can do.
yeah, the options really are endless for Dallas at
You
the
just can't
deadline.
sit on this money and just be like, we don't need to add. We like our team. Like, no, you need to add when you've got this much money that now opened up.
Yeah, it's a golden opportunity. Um,
But moving forward,
and staying in the Central, talking about the Stars, the Jets uh
I'm not worried about them.
lost four straight. I don't think they're really in danger of falling out of the playoff race or anything like that. But you know, we I was gonna say we always, but then I thought about Boston winning 65 in a season. Generally, we see these teams that start really hot eventually regress to the mean and start playing you know not 500 hockey, but you you can't just permanently have your last 10 games be 10-0. So their last 10 right now is 3-7-0. So that's actually pretty rough considering they're still 18-8 on the season. They have not lost in overtime yet. But yeah,
Yeah, no.
the Jets do not look unbeatable as they did at the start of the season.
Which I mean, that was kind of what was to be expected, right? Like they got off to a terrific start um of the year. Like what were they, 16-1,
I,
15-1?
yeah, they're 15-1, 16-1, something like that.
But if I was sitting there, like, who are the my five top picks for the Stanley Cup at that time? Winnipeg wasn't one of them. I'm not sure if they were many people's top five, top three contenders. They got off to a terrific start, but I think that kind of elevated people's expectations. Like, what did we have them? I can't remember where I had them in our prediction. I think I had them like third, maybe even fourth.
Yeah, I don't even remember. There are a lot of teams.
I had
like
them
there are a
fourth
lot of reasons to like them.
in a wild card spot.
Like
Yeah, there's lots of reasons to like them, but
I
think
think in
that
the offseason people were a little more cool on them than they should have, just because oh, they lost this guy, they lost this guy, but like all the guys they lost were deadline acquisitions. They basically didn't lose anybody
pretty much
from
except
their team.
for Brendan Dillon on the blue line.
Yeah,
who I think they're definitely missing right now.
Yeah,
there is that glaring hole on their blue line that they are going to have to address. They are going to have to fix that. But yeah, like they're still fourth in the league. Like they're 18-8. They're going to be a playoff team. I think their hot start really just kind of elevated people's kind of thoughts on them. Just because they got off to a good start, right? Like if it was the LA Kings, like last year, how they were just winning like nonstop on the road. They were one of the top 10. And a lot of people are like, man, this is a real strong contender. It's like, no, not really. Like good team, yeah, a great start to a year, but you know, a hot start at the beginning of the season, I think, in my opinion, doesn't hold as much weight as opposed to look at like Edmonton, where basically in the back half of the season they were steamrolling their way. And that's why I was so much higher on them going into the playoffs as opposed to a lot of other teams. Winnipeg's fine. Winnipeg's a good team.
Yeah. The Jets will be fine.
They need to it's so funny, because we just spent so much time talking about Yurchek and how he wasn't being given the opportunity with Columbus despite having so much skill. And then Winnipeg, like they keep not as much as of late. But Logan Stanley, Winnipeg keeps trying to make it work with him, and I think eventually you just got to be like, I think you just need to find another piece there instead of him on your blue line. He has not been anywhere close to a replacement level for a guy like Brendan Dillon. That's really the only area Winnipeg needs is you just need to add a top four defenseman.
Yeah, which is crazy to say because they are so good defensively. Like their goal differential is 28 on the season.
Oh, they have the best goalie in the league, which helps.
They definitely do, but they also have a really good defensive core and just defensive structure. Like underratedly, like whether it's the head coach or if they have a defensive coordinator or whatever, whoever's handling their end of the ice clearly knows what they're doing as well. So yeah, they have a great system there, but yeah, I definitely expect them to go out and look for a defenseman towards February, March in the trade deadline.
We got to at some point, right? It was worth noting, though, they're the only team with 18 wins still. May not be first in the league, but they technically do have the most wins out of any team.
They do have the most wins.
They do have the most wins.
What else do we got here before you get to Four Nations? We got a couple ones that are a little bit quicker. Not a ton to say on them. Victor Hedman set the Lightning franchise assist record the other night, passing Marty St. Louis in all-time assists. St. Louis had 588. Hedman is now at 590. It is should be noted Kucherov is already at 575, so he's hot on Hedman's tail, but like
He'll pass Hedman by the end of the year.
Probably. Like he just racks them up. That being said, Hedman's been
separate guys throughout the course of a year.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and Hedman's actually been so good this year. Like, honestly, like in my incredibly biased opinion, like he's probably third in Norris talks right about now.
Yeah, probably.
Quinn and
he's got that captain bump now. He's got that C bump.
He's got that morale boost that's given him a couple extra overall points.
Yeah,
but yeah,
good for him. He's had a terrific year. He has had a terrific year.
It's one thing, just to gush for a second, that's so fun watching him is his slap shot. Because he's not Shea Weber about it. He doesn't just he doesn't want to hit triple-digit mile per hour and just throw it at the net. He's like, obviously, he's just freaking massive, right? He takes these slow-ass measured slap shots and aims them more intently than I've ever seen somebody with a slap shot. But of course, they all still go 95 miles an hour because he's a giant. It's like watching him do it in slow motion compared to some guys who on a one-timer, they look like their stick is going to break the sound barrier.
Yeah, you know what? I will have the opportunity to look for that tonight as San Jose plays Tampa. So that'll be a fun battle, I'm hoping.
Yeah, might get to see Hedman extend his lead on Kucherov in the assist department because Kucherov's not actually playing tonight.
Oh, so there we go. So the Sharks are going to win 4 straight then. So if people are losing their minds about Winnipeg losing 4 straight, why are they not losing their minds when the Sharks are going to win 4 straight? Actually, I think people have been. I think it's kind of blown out of proportion, but
I don't know, man. They look pretty good out
there.
They
should not be a good team this year. I will still sit on that hill. I won't stand on that hill. I will sit.
Oh?
Because as good of a year as they have been having, you do still need to probably add at least one more high-end prospect into the mix.
Or you could just buy it at the free agency.
No, that San Jose should be banned from free agency. Well, not banned, but in terms of big name free agents, well, not yet. They've had a bad history of giving out some bad contracts.
Yeah.
So I'd like to just stay away from that. Build from within.
Fair enough.
Moving on here, though. What was the last one we had? I thought we had one more thing.
We just got 2 more. Patrick Laine scoring in his Canadiens debut, his return from injury. I don't know if you saw the goal in the clip, but absolute snipe. Just grabbed it on the power play and ripped it perfectly in the top far corner.
It wouldn't have surprised me if he could have came back a week sooner, but he decided not to just because he saw that Montreal was playing the Islanders. Because for those who don't know, the Islanders, I don't know how to exactly word it, but basically they allow the most firsts for players, whether it's a player scores their first NHL goal, they get their first point, goalie gets their first win, player gets their first, goal or assist with a new team. It happens to the Islanders basically every game they play in. they make other teams, other players feel really good about themselves by giving them their first. So, yeah, that's why I hammered Patrick Laine, anytime goal scorer, and this is why. This is exactly why.
Yeah.
Everybody gets their first on the Islanders.
Yeah, and of course, I think it's Bell Center is the arena. Absolutely erupted, dude. Like,
Oh,
it's no wonder. Like, anytime they do like the league poll of like what's the best arena to play in, that Bell Center like tops the list almost every time. Like, that crowd was electric, and yeah, it was after a guy who's had the injury, the mental health struggles. It was just nice to see Patrick Laine get a win there.
yeah, it was a great moment. It was awesome.
And
won't be the last goal he's going to score for Montreal. That's for sure.
well, it better not be. I dropped, I think it was Kyle Palmieri in fantasy to activate him off IR.
Bold play.
Yeah, I just, looking at it, I was just like, I can't just drop Liney when he comes back because I want to keep Palmieri. That seems goofy.
Yeah.
No shade to Kyle over there, but the only other bit of news we have here is the PWHL is officially in NHL 25. The patch dropped earlier today, and
Nice.
they got all the players, they got all the teams in there now. So yeah, you can.
I guess
do
they
whatever you want
finally
to say.
can now that they actually have proper logos and jerseys and whatnot for all the teams. I guess now you can actually start finally implementing that into
Yeah,
the NHL franchise game.
because they were kind of advertising it before the game came out, but then obviously the game comes out and didn't have it, and it was kind of like, this feels weird. Like,
Yeah.
even they were pretty upfront, like, no, it's going to come later, but it was still like, it felt weird since it was a advertising point. But they're in the game now, and that's good for
Better
them,
late
good
than
for the
never.
sport.
Yep.
But I think that's everything we have, other than talking about the Four Nations Faceoff teams.
Yep. The teams that were supposed to not be leaked, they were all leaked before the big reveal yesterday.
Yeah. Well, because they went around telling all the players, and how are you going to keep a lid on it when you're telling? I think 30 teams. I think all but 2 teams had one player going. So
who doesn't have anyone going? Chicago and
Seattle. I know Seattle's one of them.
Oh yeah, Seattle. Yeah.
Which is kind of surprising because they have some good players, but obviously just none in the top of their country.
Yeah,
it would seem.
Well, it's tough because all their top guys are all Canadians, so it's tough to. What we've seen here, some of the incredible players that got left out is shocking. So where do you want to start? Which of the 4 should we start with? Do we want to start big? Do we want to start small?
Let's start with Finland.
All right. So Finland's roster for the Four Nations Faceoff is as follows. Starting with the forward: Sebastian Aho, Erik Haula, Anton Lundell, Joel Armia, Rupe Hintz, Eetu Luosterainen, Alexander Barkov, Capo Caco, well-deserved there, Mikko Rantanen, Mikael Granlund, Patrick Laine, Toivo Teravainen, Arturi Lehkonen. On defense, Jani Hakanpää, Esa Lindell, Rasmus Ristolainen, Miro Heiskanen, Olli Mata, Juuso Välimäki, Nico Mikkola, and for the goalies, you got Kevin Lankinen, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and Jussi Saros. Is Finland.
Yeah.
I don't hate it, actually. This is the one that, like, I'm sitting there, like, I can't really, like, the only thing I'd maybe kind of nitpick and say is if you wanted to take out Joel Armia for Tolvanen, I'd be okay with that. And
yeah,
that's about it. Like this is pretty much exactly the roster I uh came out with like a month ago when we were doing it because there wasn't really any other options.
yeah, like there really wasn't much, and I think this is probably the team with the least complaints about the roster as far as who was picked and everything. Um,
Yeah.
like even their third goalie, they got Lankinen in there. Like that's a good shout. Like yeah, I like this. I like this roster. I do think that Armia could have been there. Could have been a better choice than that, but he's also
It could
listed.
have been, but at the same time, like when you are looking at the team, you know, I would almost kind of actually rather have a Joel Armia over a Tolvanen if because they're probably going to be on that fourth line anyways.
That's the thing. He's
And I think
probably not
Armia
even
brings
playing
a bit more
without injury.
grit and um actually yeah, maybe yeah.
Like who would be on that third line? Like guys
With
like
third line
Holla,
or fourth line?
or sorry, fourth line, like Holla, Lundell,
I think it'd probably be
Lusterainen.
Halla, Luosterainen, and it's either Capo Caco, I think, or Joel Armia. I think those are kind of the four guys that are going to be. I think Hall and Luosterainen are for sure like locked in. I think you're kind of debating between Joel Armia and Capo Caco for that 12th spot.
I think Lundell is probably in that spot, unless you would have him higher up in the
Oh yeah,
roster.
Lundell's in the top 9. Yeah, he's not going down to the. I'm
Are
not
you having
putting.
Mikael
I'm
Granlund there then?
no. They've got 13 forwards, so you only need to pick 4 that consist of your fourth line and your extra. For me, that's Howla, Luosterainen, Joel Armia, and Capo Caco. And then your top 9 would
Hmm.
be Aho, Barkov, Granlund, Hintz, Laine, Lehkonen, uh, Lundell, Rantanen, and Teravainen.
You don't have Patrick Laine in the top 6?
He, he's in the top 9. I don't know if he's top 6. I don't know if he's third line.
Hmm.
It's tough to say just because he just came back from injury, so I don't
Yeah,
know exactly. Whereas I assume he probably plays in the top 9 or
yeah,
top 6.
yeah. Just because
Uh,
he's not, that's where his skills lie in offense, not putting up defensive numbers or stuff like that. But
like your third line's probably Lundell, Teravainen, Lehkonen. And then your top 6, Aho, Barkov, Granlund, Hintz, Laine, Rantanen.
I wonder if they put Lehkonen with Rantanen on the top line. They
Mm,
they've played together for
no.
stints at a time in Colorado,
I
mainly in
think
the
it's one thing for
playoffs.
like defensive pairs or like forwards that have played together for like years, but for guys that are just on the same team, eh,
I just he probably shouldn't be on the first line, but he's not that far below anybody else that would be there that I don't know if it's
you
really
put him on the
hurts him.
first line
But
over an Aho because I wouldn't.
uh
I wouldn't put Lehkonen on the first line over Aho just because of this. He plays on the same team as Rantanen. No way. Especially with
I
how
mean,
stacked these other teams are, like
assuming that the
you
first and
need to have a
second line get
powerhouse line.
similar-ish minutes. And it's not like he's
Maybe
playing way if he's playing way more time than Aho, then that's a blunder
like I
for sure.
because I think if you're Finland, I think you can't be like, oh, we need to have. I mean, you still have a well-rounded team, but I think you need to have at least one line that's
You need
like
somebody to
kind of your
score.
superstar line that you can really rely on and not because if you spread it out too much, I think you're just going to get caved in
Yeah,
by other teams.
that's a fair point.
Yeah, I think first line I would probably do something like a Barkov, Aho, Rantanen, and then second line maybe Granlund, Hintz, and Laine.
Yeah, I could definitely see that ending up as the lineup,
Yeah,
but
definitely
that
the
remains to be
weakest.
seen.
Like not a horrible team, but definitely the weakest of the four, really just because of their blue line.
Yeah, I
Outside
mean,
of Heiskanen, Lindell,
because of their
Mikkola.
forwards as well. Like, not
Well,
through
yeah,
any fault of theirs, but just they were put behind the 8 ball as soon as this was announced. Like, they're put up against Sweden, US, and Canada. Like,
yeah,
there's a reason they're here because they're probably the fourth best in the world. But when the tournament only includes 4 and it's in the top 4, it's pretty fucking tough for them
it's
to
tough.
do
There's
much.
a reason they're coming in as the biggest underdog.
Yeah. But
moving onward,
I like the team and I like the
I like their
picks they
picks.
made.
I really can't complain with anything they did there.
Do we want to talk about Team Sweden next?
Team Sweden. Do you want to list off the roster? Or do you want me to?
I got it. So for forwards, they have Philip Forsberg, Adrian Kempe, Joel Eriksson Ek, Gustav Nyquist, Lucas Raymond, Elias Lindholm, Victor Arvidsson, Elias Pettersson, Jesper Bratt, William Karlsson, William Nylander, Leo Carlson, Mika Zibanejad, and then on defense they have Rasmus Andersson, Matthias Ekholm, Jonas Brodin, Rasmus Dahlin, Gustav Forsling, that stun locked me for a second, Eric Carlson, and Captain Victor Hedman. And in the net, they have Jacob Markstrom, Philip Gustafsson, and Linus Ullmark. That's a solid team.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. I like that. Yeah,
Where
it's a good team. I only have one gripe, one issue with this team.
Let's hear it.
Why the fuck is Victor Arvidsson on this team?
Thank you. I didn't want to have to say it, but I would have.
That's literally nobody else. Like, there's obviously people out there that are dogging on like Zibanejad because he's had a rough start to the year. Nyquist because he's not, putting up 80 points like he did last year. I'm still fine with those guys on the team. Victor Arvidsson makes no sense. Still a good player, but injured constantly. Really hasn't done anything super notable in the last couple of years. And people may say I'm biased, but everybody kind of agrees for online as well. It should be William Eklund in there in that last spot.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Like it should be him, and hell, I'd take a Fabian Zetterlund over Arvidsson. Like he's
Arvidsson.
Yeah. Arvidsson,
Yeah.
is he going to play top 6 for this team?
I think he's the 13th.
Yeah, like so he's because he
your
can
most injury
score.
prone guy is the guy that comes in if someone gets injured. Essentially, is what. And like, even if Eklund made it over Arvidsson, Eklund's probably still the 13th guy. Maybe you sneak him in for one game, maybe against like Finland, and you said a Leo Carlson or something. But Victor, it doesn't. I don't get it.
It's just past name value. It has to be because
it has, because he's been injured this year, so hasn't played a bunch. And even when he has played, he's been given the opportunity with Edmonton and just not producing.
And he's not great defensively, and he's slow. At this point in his career, he's just not very quick. And if he does play, I think he's going to be in a point where he needs to be good defensively and he needs to be fast. And I think those are, kind of the weak points of his game. He's still got a wicked shot, but how often are you going to get to utilize that in how he would be deployed? So especially given the rest of the roster, it's I just don't think this is it, Chief.
Yeah, and especially because I guess this is where the rumor came out from. I thought it came out from somewhere else, but apparently there's a newspaper in Sweden that put out a thing about how William Eklund made the team, which is why I texted you that night, being like, okay, so he did make the team. I wonder who he made it over. And then Eklund obviously doesn't make the team, so he's got some issues. He's figuring out with that newspaper.
Yeah.
right now after they, got his hopes up just for them to be ripped away, which I gotta imagine is tough. You're like, oh, it's leaked that I get the chance to represent my country, and then it's like, no,
Yeah.
you don't. That's got to be tough.
I like to think that he has the, head on his shoulders to know that, like, because there were actual, like, NHL insiders leaking stuff all week leading up to it. How would they not know, but some newspaper in Sweden knows, right? Like, I like to think he would, be able to temper his expectations and be like, okay, kind of compose himself, and how would they know and nobody else does? Like, that seems weird.
Exactly, right. And I mean, in terms of this,
But
like,
obviously it still sucks, and
I can't imagine he's too crushed, because I would be shocked if by 2026, if he's not on the Olympic team.
Yeah.
Given the way he's, because I think Eklund's like, what, he's like 20th, tied for 20th in the league in assists right now or something.
Yeah, like he's racking them up. And we're talking a lot about Eklund, but like he's not even the only guy that I think easily could have been in over Victor Arvidsson. A Michael Backlund didn't make the team.
Backlund was another one, yep.
Backlund is a guy that could play on your second line if you need him to. He can play on the fourth line. Hell, especially if he's just the healthy scratch, the injury replacement. He's a captain of an NHL team. He's probably really good in the locker room just to have
good vibes, good leader. Yeah, I agree.
So you know what? I think he might have also been a perfect 13th man. So not to clown on Arvidsson too much, but he's definitely the name that sticks out on this.
What would your
roster.
top 6 be for this team?
Top 6 here. It definitely has to start with Hart Trophy candidate Lucas Raymond. Just gonna.
You think so?
Just bringing up what I had for the team since I covered them in our previews. So they've been rough over in Nashville, but I actually don't know how's Philip Forsberg specifically been doing this year. Like,
I think he's still been doing fine. I mean, obviously the team as a whole has been doing a bit rough.
Philip Forsberg, 26 games played, 9 goals, 17 points, -9. I mean, the whole team's a minus probably.
Yeah, the whole team's just
That's not great,
bad.
but I mean, he's got the history. He's got a insane shot, possibly the most underrated shot in the league. Yeah, I'd probably still go Philip Forsberg.
He's in your top 3 best forwards still. So I think he's got to be in your top 6.
Yeah, Philip Forsberg, Elias Pettersson, William Nylander. Like, I'll hear the argument for putting Raymond in over Forsberg on that top line, but Pettersson and Nylander are bulletproof in their spots.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'd do. I'd go with Pettersson, Nylander, Forsberg.
Yeah, and then second line. Originally, when we were talking about the team, I had Lucas Raymond, Jesper Bratt on the wings, and Zibanejad centering. At this point, I'd probably go Eriksson Ek centering Raymond and Jesper Bratt, because Zibanejad's had a rough year.
I think my second line, I think I would still keep Bratt and Eriksson Ek. I would almost put Kempe over Raymond, and then I'd run Raymond with Zibanejad and maybe a William Karlsson.
I think the
bottom 6 is messy.
Yeah,
it's tough trying to, because you've got so many guys that are naturally centers that you're going to have to move some of them to the wing.
Yeah, so I think you probably go with some of the more defensive guys that have a history being good. Eriksson Ek centering, Elias Lindholm centering, and then the other guys just kind of got to deal with it and play on the wing.
I think at this point, I think he just throws a Zibanejad on the wing. I think you have to now.
Yeah, probably. I would definitely still have Lucas Raymond on that second line, though. 27 points in 25 games. Like, he's been one of the few bright spots that they have over in Detroit this season. But yeah, they they got a lot of centers, and they actually have like guys who are like they fit well at center. Like Team Canada has so many guys at center, but like uh, Braden Point's going to excel at being a winger, right? Like they have a lot of guys like that they play center, but this guy's going to kick ass at being on the wing. But they have a lot of guys on Team Sweden that like they're not that they wouldn't be good at it, but like you'll lose more value by not having them at center because they're so good at it.
Yeah. And their defense is rock solid too.
Yeah, they got real good defense over there in Sweden. I think your first defensive pair still has to be Hedman and Carlson.
I wouldn't do that.
No?
No.
What are you going with?
Because here's why. I think they would get caved in. Because Carlson, we know he's more of a kind of offensive first guy.
Yeah.
And especially like up against a Team Canada, like Hedman's a great defenseman, but his speed and skating is not what it used to be. And I think he would like, and no fault of his own, it'd be because Carlson's more offensively minded. Hedman would just get fucking caved in over and over, unfortunately. I would put
You know what?
Victor Hedman.
The way you said it, I disagree with you, but or like rather I agree with you, but not for the reasons you said. I think Hedman's your best defenseman, and you're not going to get at near enough value out of him. Basically, if he has to babysit Carlson defensively.
That's why I'm saying you put Victor Hedman with Rasmus Anderson.
Ooh, with
and
Anderson.
then put Rasmus Dahlin and Carlson together.
I like that.
And then for your third pair, I mean, whatever you want to do, it's kind of weird that they, you only have 2 right-handed defensemen. You got 5 lefties. So I guess Ekholm's for sure playing, and then whether you want to go Brodin or Forsling, that's just going to be an elite shutdown pair. Might actually be the best just straight up shutdown pair in the whole tournament.
Yeah,
whatever
other
pairing
teams
you want to go with.
drafting for it.
Yeah.
One other pairing I'll throw out there just because it seems pretty interesting. A guy to pair with Erik Karlsson, a guy who is incredibly used to covering up for somebody else's defensive deficiencies, Matthias Ekholm.
Yes, Ekholm. I could see that
if
too.
Ekholm can run back and cover for Evan Bouchard, he can do it for Karlsson.
Yeah. I like Dahlin there just because I think Dahlin is, well, no, he is the best skater out of your entire defensive core there.
Yeah. I would almost like a top pair of
Ekholm and Karlsson
Hedman, Dahlin, and then go Karlsson, Ekholm.
I think you I'm just not a fan of putting 2 lefties together because then you've got to put one guy on their offside. Because those are 2 guys that have their whole career have played on the left side. So for this to now be like, and they're pros, like obviously they're going to be able to make that adjustment, but especially in something like this, it could be very tough to, because I think Sweden's first game is against Canada too, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what Hedman was saying when they were doing the roster reveal for Sweden. And that could be tough. Like your first game, moving over to play on the right side up against Canada could be very tough. I like Hedman and Anderson. I just like that nastiness and that grit and toughness that pair brings.
Yeah.
And it's also a pair that can still easily put up points as well.
Yeah, it's a really good 2-way line like that. They'll get it done in both ends.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. It's just like in my head, I really like Ekholm and Karlsson, but then that would obviously mean Dahlin's on your third pair. That being said,
well, your third pair could always just be
I don't know what
Ekholm Karlsson.
Yeah, like I don't know how much it matters what pair is what. Like
it very well could just be a rotating.
Yeah, pairing 1 might get 22 minutes and pairing 3 might get 19. Like they might split it pretty evenly.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I'm thinking with how deep their blue line is.
Yeah. And all the combinations were thrown out there. Like they clearly have options. But talking about the goaltenders, who's the starter here, man? Do they have a clear starter? Like, I feel like all three
I would go
guys have
Gustafsson,
I
actually.
was in, like, I feel like all three guys have a claim to that spot, and if goalies more than anybody, like, you kind of just got to ride the hot hand. Which, spoiler alert, is why I think they went Sam Montembeault over in Canada. But yeah, I think
we'll get into that.
I think Philip Gustafsson is
I would
probably the
love.
starter.
I would love nothing more for when Sweden and US play for it to be Swayman versus Allmark. That'd be so much fun. But I don't think we should, because I think Swayman and Allmark are the third goalies. I think they're the goalies that sit up in the press box and watch the games. I think Gustafsson. I think you got to go with him with how he's been playing this year. On the team with Minnesota and Ottawa are probably about kind of even in talent ish, but like Gustafsson has just been playing phenomenal this year, and I think if he maintains it, you got to ride the hot hand in this, especially if you're Sweden going up against U.S. and Canada, and you don't have to worry about Finland as much. Sorry to Finland. You ride the hot hand, and
you're gonna have to catch a little magic.
Gustafsson.
You're not gonna go out there and dominate these other teams. You're gonna have to get a little lucky, find a little magic, and gotta kind of ride that. So yeah,
minutes here and there if need be, if that's what it takes. Yeah. I like Gustafsson. I think he's had an awesome year, and I think he's earned this spot. Unless he starts playing like historically bad, I think he's earned the right to be the start at least in game one. If he does bad, okay, reevaluate. But I think he's at least earned that spot.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, if the season ended right now in the NHL, he would be a Vezina finalist. Like, he's got a 929 over 19 games so far. Like, that's outstanding in a league.
It's Connor Hellebuck numbers.
Yeah, like the average save percentage is either 900 or 901 right now in the league. Like, he is far clearing that. So yeah, I would definitely give him the start. Probably put Markstrom as the backup, and Omar, if he can put together a better season from now until then, he might be able to sneak his way into a couple games and stuff. But right now,
maybe one game you let him. Maybe the game against US. Maybe you let him be the backup. You let Swayman be the backup, and they can chat from the benches or something. Just get him involved a little bit.
Yeah, like, well,
and then for Finland, obviously,
it's a fun concept, but like, honestly, like, bro, if he can't even get his save percentage up to 900, I don't think he even gets to back up any of these games.
Yeah, probably not.
Like, because Markstrom's also had a good season. So,
yeah.
It'll be tough for him to get in there without some better showings until the tournament.
But really, only issue for Sweden for me is just Arvidsson. Good player still, in my opinion. I still like the way he plays, but at this point, I just don't think he's good enough for a tournament like this. Injuries are always a concern when you're talking about Arvidsson, and I just think there's better guys you could have put there, even if it is just for the 13th, because that 13th guy is probably slotting in at least in one game. Someone's going to get banged up a little bit in one game. You're going to throw a fresh, healthy guy in there. I just think there's better options he could have had.
Yeah, completely agree.
But it's a deep team. It's a really, I don't want to say best blue line, but I'd hear the argument for it.
It's definitely up there.
I would hear the argument.
A very good blue line that does not feature. I was singing the praises of Lucas Raymond earlier, but it does not include Simon Edvinsson. I'm seeing. I got to assume they're all Red Wings fans, but I'm seeing a few too many people online saying he should have made the team.
I don't think he's done enough yet to earn a spot over these other guys.
He
So
hasn't done enough to sniff the spot of the worst defenseman they have here. Like, who would you take out? Probably Jonas Brodin's on the chopping block for the defense.
or
Bro, Jonas
Forsling,
Brodin,
one of
like
those two.
or Forsling, yeah, dude, they both clear him. Maybe not for his career. He's incredibly young. He'll get better, but right now, like, give me a break, right?
Exactly.
Like kind of high on their own supply over there because that's
Yeah. Like I think Edvinsson, you know, has kind of proven me wrong because I was starting to kind of my stock on him was going down going into this year. He's proven me wrong. He looks great, but again, you can't make an argument for Edvinsson over Brody nor Forsling. I agree with you.
yeah,
I won't hear that argument out because it would make no sense.
yeah, yeah. People
So don't
like
even try with that shit.
yeah, and it's of course it's not even people saying like he should have been on the team or anything. They're like no Edvinsson is crazy. Are they insane? What is this? And it's like okay,
Yeah.
let's pump the brakes a bit. He's gonna be good.
Yeah.
He's gonna be better than he is. He's already good, just not Team Sweden good.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not yet. Not at this point.
but moving on up, you know what? We'll save hopefully the best for last in Canada, and we'll talk about the USA team.
All right. So moving on, United States of America, USA. The roster for the team is as follows. For the forwards, you have Matt Boldy, Jack Hughes, Brock Nelson, Kyle Connor, Chris Kreider, Brady Tkachuk, Jake Gensel, Jack Eichel, Dylan Larkin, Matthew Tkachuk, Austin Cheeks Matthews, Vincent Trocheck, and JT Miller. On the blue line, you got Brock Faber, Noah Hannafin, Jacob Slavin, Adam Fox, Quinn Hughes, Zach Wierenski, and Charlie McAvoy. And the goalies, we knew what this was going to be once Demko got injured. Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, Jeremy Swayman. That's a good team. That's a really
That's a good
team.
ass team.
Couple issues though. Couple issues.
Yep.
Couple issues we got. Where do we want to start?
I would say.
Do you want to start forward or blue
I,
line?
I would just want to say with an overall statement on their issues, because obviously we're going to talk about some of the guys that probably shouldn't be on this team, and obviously the guys who should be replacing them. But I almost want to say it's like less of an issue for them. Not that it's. I honestly think there probably were omissions, but it's also the fact that the guys that, for lack of a better term, accidentally or lucked into their spot on the roster are a lot better than the guys who accidentally made Team Sweden or Finland. And we're going to see that with Team Canada as well. That
100%.
Obviously the caliber is just higher because there's players playing the sport. It's just been that way. So yeah, like even the guys that we're talking about are not who should be replaced with somebody else. They're really high quality players in this tournament still. But let's start with the forwards.
With the forwards, okay. So what are your concerns with the forward core here?
My concerns are they left too many damn good players off the roster.
And it was going to happen either way. There was going to be good players regardless that were not making it. For example, because I did US for mine. The players I had that were missing the cut would be Tage Thompson, Vincent Trocheck, Patrick Kane, Brock Besser, Alex DeBrincat. Trocheck made it, but those other players didn't make it. I had Cole Caulfield as the extra. He didn't make the team. The most surprising one for me, and no one's talking about it.
Trocheck might be like the second worst player out of all those guys you just mentioned too.
For what?
Like out of all the guys you just said that didn't make the team, like Trocheck, I don't know if he clears many of them. Probably Kane at this point in his career, but
and Kane's injured now, so maybe that's also why. I know he just
Yeah.
got put on IR. I did have Clayton Keller. He
He
didn't
should
make
be on
it.
there. He should be on the team. And I'm not
No
seeing enough
one is.
people talk about it.
That's not even the one I'm worried about. No one's talking. I haven't seen one person, and I'm sure there are people out there talking about it, but I haven't seen it. No one's talking about Jason Robertson.
Holy shit, Jason
I know.
Robertson's not even on
I,
the team.
I know he's exactly. I know he's having a bit of a down year. I get that,
I was so ready
but
for you
he
to
is
be
still
blowing
one
smoke
of
up
the.
my ass and be
He's still
like,
one of the best players. I
wow.
just don't get it. No one's talking about it though.
No, you're 100%. I was so ready for you to be like, nobody's talking about Tage Thompson missing. And I'd be like, yeah, everyone's talking about that. I didn't even notice he wasn't on the team.
Yeah, dude,
Like,
no one's talking about RoboCop not on the team. It's wild to me.
This is nuts. I'm looking at Sportsnet's on Twitter, their official announcement of it. I'm just scrolling through the comments. Every comment, no Cole Caulfield, no Cole Caulfield, no Tage Thompson, no Cole Caulfield. Every about 50 comments, there's one about Clayton Keller. I literally have not seen a single one about Robertson. Like, wow.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. And if you want to say, oh, it's because Robertson's having a down year, why is Vincent Trocheck on the team? Why is Chris Kreider on the team? Why is Brock Nelson on the team? Why is JT
Yeah.
Miller on the team? Like, there's is ones where I can hear an argument out for a guy is struggling, but like not at a guy of the caliber of Robertson to not be on this team in
He's
favor of a
struggling.
Vincent Trocheck.
He's got 15 points in 25 games. Like, that's like a 65-point pace. Like, oh, the humanity. Like, it's not that bad, right? Like, are these other guys doing so otherworldly that they were undeniable?
No.
Brock Nelson's got 17 points in 26 games. You're telling me you have more trust in Brock Nelson than Jason Robertson?
Yeah,
Robertson's
and
also got a good two-way game.
I'm a huge Islanders glazer. And I'm pumped. I'm so happy that Brock Nelson actually is getting some recognition and gets a chance to be in this, but he shouldn't be. I'm so happy for him. Like this is a huge for him, but he shouldn't be over a Robertson, over a Keller, over a Thompson. I'm still okay with Brock Nelson over Cole Caulfield, to be honest with you. I'm still okay with that because I think Brock Nelson can be just as good of a goal scorer playing with any of these guys as Cole Caulfield would be.
I definitely disagree with that.
Brock Nelson is he's one of the most underrated goal scorers in the league.
I will absolutely agree with that. Like, people
And
do not.
he
If you
admittedly just doesn't
told
get great
somebody to
talent.
list 50 best shooters and goal scorers, most people don't put him on their list when he should.
No, he won
absolutely.
the accuracy in the. I mean, I know it doesn't matter as much nowadays as it did a while ago, but he did win the accuracy competition against all the other best in the world at the All Stars last year.
Yeah, like he can absolutely.
And he does play. He plays a good two-way game. He's got some size, but I wouldn't put Nelson over Keller, Thompson, or Robertson.
Yeah, I'm still blown away that like so few people talked about it. I was surprised that I didn't notice that Keller wasn't on the team. And then Jason Robertson, we're what, 2 years removed from a 100-point season?
Yeah, I didn't even realize he wasn't at first glance because I kind of just assumed like he was,
You
he
just
wasn't
assume
one of
he's
the
somewhere in the
official
top 6.
named. Yeah, he wasn't one of like the first guys that was like named like back in the summer. But he's one of those guys like, hey, he's not on it, but he's a lock.
Yeah.
He was like a.
Yeah, they didn't announce Mitch Marner's on the team, but Mitch Marner's on the damn
But
team.
we knew Mitch Marner was like a lock.
But like, wow, yeah, I definitely expect him to be there. Like,
Yeah,
if you got to redo this, if you got to make the replacements you wanted for this forward core, how many are you taking out?
For the forward core, again, I don't think JT Miller's had the best year, but I don't think that's due to his skill or anything. I think that's just stuff he's currently dealing with at this moment. Brock Nelson, I would replace with Robertson. Trocheck, I would replace with. I would take Clayton Keller over Tage Thompson.
Over Tage Thompson?
Yeah, I would take Keller over Thompson.
Neither of them are on the team. Or
Yeah,
who are you
that's what I'm
replacing
saying.
them? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I put Robertson in over Brock Nelson. I put Keller over Trocheck. Chris Kreider's the one I'm kind of iffy on. Like, if I was to take out Kreider, I would put Tage Thompson in there.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, Chris Kreider's been one of the most consistent. Like, he's having a bit of a down year, but that's just because he's not putting up assists. Like, he's still on pace for 35 to 45, probably somewhere in there for goals. He's just not getting assists, and that's just because I don't know. I don't watch many Rangers games, so I don't know if it's his line mates or whatnot.
It looks like
I
it's
would
a
still keep. I would. I would
team-wide
keep.
issue, honestly.
Yeah, I'd keep Chris Kreider still. I think Tage Thompson. Unfortunate, but you're probably going to play on the Olympic team next year, I'd imagine. Maybe if he doesn't get snubbed again.
Probably.
Yeah, I would just take out Nelson, Trocheck, and give me Robertson and Keller.
Yeah, I 100% take out Brock Nelson for Robertson. Take out Trocheck. I probably take out Brock Nelson, Vincent Trocheck, and honestly, I probably do take out Chris Kreider, and I put in Jason Robertson, Clayton Keller, and probably Cole Caulfield. Like, I feel like there should probably be somebody else for
hear that
Thompson,
out.
but like,
And
who would he?
if I'm okay with that. I just think
Yeah,
what Chris Kreider has been again. He's a step up from Brock Nelson in terms of goal scoring, which is why I'm
yeah,
keeping him over Brock Nelson.
yeah.
He's just been one of the most consistent goal scorers, and I know he's having a bit of a down year.
He knows how to play
Man,
with
like
superstars too,
he's
which
also
is
the
cool.
one guy I'm looking there. Like when you're thinking of the power play, like if you have Austin Matthews out there, Jack Eichel, Kyle Connor, but you have Chris Kreider just doing his thing in front of the net, tipping pucks, getting rebounds. Like Chris Kreider genuinely could end the tournament with the most goals just by sitting in front of the net.
Yeah,
And
and
that's why I'm like, what? I would love to. I'm excited to watch him do that
and
because
they
that's
got
where he
so many
excels.
guys who love to put the puck on net, like in that way. They got Adam Fox, Quinn Hughes, Zach Werenski. Probably
Yeah.
without looking, probably is one of the top average shot takers among defensemen in the NHL. Like, dude throws them at the net constantly, so he's probably going to tip in at least a few from him. Like, yeah,
Like,
I
whereas I'm
definitely
like a
get it.
Cole Caulfield, like, yeah, he's a great goal scorer, but, you know, he'll probably still tuck some. But when it comes to the power play, like, you're not putting Caulfield out there over Matthews, Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, uh, probably not even Jay Gensel, the Kachucks. Like, he probably doesn't even get power play time. Whereas I think Kreider provides so much for the power play, literally just by just parking in front of the net and just letting pucks ramp off him all day long.
Yeah,
Because now with Joe Pavelski gone, there's no one better in front of the net than Chris Kreider.
yeah, like, yeah, dude just eclipses the goalie and makes it just awful to deal with in front of the net. Like,
Yeah.
the only guy who really is given a much competition for a spot like that is a guy like Zach Hyman, and he's having such a down year that we'll get to in a second. But he didn't make the team.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. But like for the forwards, I don't hate it. I think probably your forward that sits out is probably Trocheck. Maybe
Yeah,
Brock Nelson. I guess it just kind of depends who
at
you
least Brock Nelson's having a good year. Like, at least that I understand. Also,
with less talent.
yeah, JT
Like
Miller. People say
Trocheck's
he's
with
having a
fucking
down year.
Panarin.
JT Miller, 16 points in 17 games. Like,
Yeah,
he's a point. He was a point per game before he stepped away. But like, Trocheck has not been having a good year. Like 12 points in 24 games. He's a -4.
like
16
that
penalty
over
minutes.
Robertson blows my mind.
Yeah,
It blows
yeah.
my mind.
Especially since Robertson can put up points and he's a two-way threat. He became he regressed his points from 109 2 years ago to 80 points last year, but he got a lot more Selke votes last year because he got better at, playing defensively. And that that would be so good for a tournament like this. If you don't think he's in the top 6, he can still score and play good defense down in the lineup. Like, he's the perfect guy for this roster, and Trocheck kind of looks like a bad fit for it. Like, I wonder if Trocheck's 20 points in 16 playoff games last year earned him the spot.
It very well could have.
Because it's clearly not his play this
Very
year
well could
that
have.
got him.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, you might be onto something there. Defenseman. What are your thoughts here?
I mean, Quinn Hughes obviously should be here. Adam Fox obviously should be here. McAvoy definitely should be here. Werenski definitely should be here. After that, it gets a little
Slavin
bit
definitely
muddier.
should be there.
I'm going to leave him off the definitely, to the chagrin of
Come on, you were
people.
saying he's the best defensive defenseman in the league over the offseason. Now
yeah.
he's not good enough?
I'm not saying he's not good enough. I'm saying being defensive is great, but I'm taking the guys who put up points every time if they can do it better.
Would you rather?
I'm not saying he shouldn't be on the team. I'm just saying, like, those other guys, maybe more so the Adam Fox and Quinn Hughes are like, there's nobody in the world who doesn't put them on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, what I was getting at.
I think you still have Slavin, though. I think you need at least one guy that can be, like, that you can put out a Slavin and McAvoy on your penalty kill, and that's, like, that's the best penalty kill pairing I think you get out of any of these 4 teams.
Probably.
I'm fine with Slavin. I'm fine with all of them. Hannafin, I'm assuming, is the 7th, so, like, it really doesn't matter. I prefer a Jake Sanderson.
Might be Faber over Hannafin. I wouldn't agree with it, but I could definitely see the coaches being like, Faber's young, inexperienced, and Hannafin's been around the block, and they want to give him the third line minutes instead.
I mean, again, I don't know if this is how they do it, but like, this is how
Faber.
I would do it, and this is how I think most teams are, because you're getting your choice of players to build a team. You only brought 3 right-handed defensemen, that being Adam Fox, McAvoy, and Faber.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming those are kind of your 3 guys that are set to be on the right side. And then I'm assuming your left side is going to be Quinn Hughes, Werenski, Slavin. I think Hannafin probably is
about that.
I think they do. I really do think they care. Like, you look at, it's probably not like the most important thing in the world to them, but it's definitely, like, if you're sitting there debating between, if you were sitting there being like, oh, John Carlson, Noah Hannafin, back and forth, and it's like, well, we've already got, 4 left-handed defensemen, and we've only got 2 right-handed defensemen. Do we want to go 5 and 2 or 4 and 3? You probably take the John Carlson just because he's right-handed, and it means you've got a little bit more power for right-handed guys on your blue line. Again, I don't know if they do, but that's kind of my thought process. Hannafin's fine. I'd still probably take a John Carlson or a Jake Sanderson in that role.
I would probably still take Hannafin over Sanderson at this point. I might take for this team. I would still take Hannafin over Carlson, but that's only in the context of the team, really. Just because Hannafin's more of a two-way player, Carlson is very one-dimensional, and he's just a pure offensive defenseman, and they don't need that. They got Quinn Hughes and they got Adam Fox, who are better at generating offense and much better defensively. So,
and that's fair. That's fair.
And,
yeah.
Zach Werenski can definitely handle it in his own end, but he's also a bit of an offensive defenseman. So, I think they just kind of priced themselves out of having a guy who is
and I think that's
offense.
That's what we're going to be talking about with Canada, with a couple of players, not even just one.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't even hate Hannafin. Like, I think he probably is still the 7th, but
yeah, he hasn't been
still
having a great year.
He's still a fine pick, though.
Yeah, like, honestly, I would have loved this pick at the start of the season. I am a little leery on it now though, because he is currently at 12 points in 27 games, so well under half a point per game. A -6. A -6 on the Vegas Golden Knights, who are 17, 7, and 3. That's
not ideal.
That's not ideal. Well, you know what? Actually, I thought their goal differential would be a little bit better. I mean, so they're +16, which is pretty damn good. I thought it might be a bit more for that win-loss record.
Actually, yeah.
But still, if the team's +17 and you're -6, it doesn't look phenomenal. But either way, I do think
For blue line, I'm okay with
he's
at the end of the
still
day.
earned it.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think all these guys have it. You know, if you want to throw someone else in, you know, sure. But I really can't say any of these defensemen. I'm like, oh, they haven't earned the right to be. They've all earned their spot. If you like someone that fits a team better, yeah, but all seven are more than well deserving of these spots. So
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
And the goalies: Hellebuck, Ottinger, Swayman. Starter, backup, third. What are you doing?
I mean, the starter is a free space. It's Connor Hellebuck, and it's his to lose.
Yeah.
Pretty much regardless of play leading up to this, unless Hellebuck falls off a cliff and Ottinger is playing out of his mind or something like that. I definitely, for the longest time, would have said Swayman should be the clear backup, and Ottinger would be the third man. But between Ottinger having a very good season so far and Swayman's not even, is he even at like average level, or is he having a rough go? Because it does, every time I hear Bruins talk about it, it doesn't sound good. He's got an 893 this year. Yeah, like that's
303 goals against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like well under league average. Meanwhile, Jake Ottinger's got a 912. I thought he was a little bit higher, but
and
still,
for anyone saying, "Oh, Bruins had a bad
good.
year," Korpisalo 2 shutouts, a 2.40 goals against, and a 909 save percentage.
Man, 1 year ago,
6-2-1.
1 year ago, they had Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman as their tandem.
Yeah.
And a year later, their starter is somehow Jonas Korpisalo, who another team's retaining on. How the hell did we get here?
Like last year, we were talking about how Ullmark's probably starting for Sweden and Swayman's making a real strong case to be the starter over Hellebuck. And now it's like both goalies are kind of locked in our minds for being the third. Which, again, you know what? Even if you are the third goalie, the fact that you're on this team is still impressive, and it still means you're one of the best in the league. So,
yeah,
it just sucks you don't get to play probably.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if it really matters, because I don't think they're gonna get much ice time backup or third string as long as Hellebuck's around.
Yeah, and if Gustafsson still keeps playing the way he's been playing, like I think he's earned that spot until he plays bad for Sweden as well.
Yeah. There's another guy, a forward, who did not make the team that I completely forgot was American. I just didn't even realize he wasn't even on here. And this guy, in every sense I can think of, really, just seems like Brock Nelson plus. He's just an upgrade. And he should probably be on the team. And that is 40 goal scorer Brock Besser. I didn't even realize he was off of it. He's pretty stout two-way. He can put up points, but he's also just a great goal scorer.
Yeah, would I take a Brock Besser over Brock Nelson? Probably.
I feel like he fits a very similar role to Brock Nelson, just a bit better. Like,
I would hear that. Like, if
not
you want to
knocking
go
on Nelson, just Brock Besser put up 40 goals last year. He's got 14 points in 17 games this year. 17
Brock
games, so I don't
Nelson,
know if he's had injuries.
Brock Nelson, the last 3 seasons, 37 goals, 36, 34.
Yeah, like he's a consistent goal scorer. He's
with less talent as well. I would hear the argument Besser over Nelson. Okay, Brock over Brock. But would I pick Brock? Like in my opinion, Brock Nelson probably shouldn't be on the team. It's cool that he is. Probably shouldn't be. I would still take a Robertson, a Keller, uh, a Thompson over.
would,
Would you take Cole Caulfield or Brock Besser?
I would probably take
that one's the tough one. That's the tough one of it all. Two guys that aren't on the team. But
it's tough because if you can utilize him properly, I think Cole Caulfield could get more done in it. But obviously, it's a very stacked roster, and I think with where they'd be playing, you might need a bit more defensive prowess. I think I'd probably go Besser if he.
I would take Besser
if he has to play third or fourth line. Like,
I'm making it sound like I don't like Cole Caulfield. I do like Cole Caulfield. I think he's a great player. I just don't think he's.
I think you don't
at
like
that
Canadians fans on Twitter. I think you don't like Canadians fans on Twitter.
Oh, I just shut them out. I just shut them out at this point. Like, I would probably still take Brock Besser. I think by like next year, like Olympics, I think Cole Caulfield definitely should be. I would just like to see him, hit that 30 goal mark at least. Stay healthy, have a consistent season, and then he's a shoe-in for any Team USA for the remainder of his career, pretty much. There's the other guys just have a better track record so far, and I think have kind of put more time in and have kind of earned that spot. It's really just Cole Caulfield's younger. Give him time. He's going to be a stud for Team USA for dozens of years.
I'm not gonna lie. I cannot wait for him to hit that 30 goal mark because there's so many people who love dunking on for it's like when Nathan McKinnon just could never put together enough games played in a season to hit 100 points. Like,
hey, same with Mitch Marner.
No,
Marner didn't. He didn't get there. That's all right.
Like Cole Caulfield,
sorry, Toronto.
23 goals. I guess that's his rookie season even. 2 years ago, 26 in 46 games. He was obviously going to hit it if he played. Last year, 28 in all 82. Just missed it. This year, he's got 16 and 25, though.
I will say, though,
he's going to have to fall off a damn cliff to not hit it.
You talk about Montreal fans on Twitter. They're the ones doing it to Cole Caulfield. Because they kept saying he's like the greatest goal scorer in the league. He's one of the best. And they're the ones that started the whole thing of Cole Caulfield's the best 30 goal scorer to never score 30 goals. Which is kind of his thing right now.
Yeah.
Which he'll he has to hit it this year. What is that? Already 16 goals?
He's already at 16.
Yeah. So he's going to hit 30 this year. He's going to be on numerous, teams for the United States in years to come. There's so much talent now. Like, there's so much talent. There's always going to be good players that are left off, unfortunately.
Yeah. If I was making the perfect US roster, I would have to sit here and I would have to map out the power play specifically. I would have to map out power play 1, power play 2, and I would have to see would I rather have Cole Caulfield on the left side circle over whatever 2 guys I have on the power play 1 and 2 in that spot. And if I would, then he would make the team.
I think we are both in agreement though that Robertson and Keller should be on the team.
I'm stunned that I didn't even know Robertson wasn't on the team. Like, that's crazy, right? Man. He's a good two-way player as well. Like, he fits every role they could need. Like, what doesn't he do for you?
Yeah.
That's like, people are talking about Cole Caulfield got snubbed. This is outrageous. I'm the one sitting here saying he could be on the team. He didn't get being snubbed means you were disrespected. You definitely should have been on the team and weren't. I don't think that's the case. I think he didn't quite make the cut. Robertson, I'd say he's getting snubbed.
I would agree.
Like,
Yeah.
2 40-goal seasons. Like, his
He's
third
tucked
best
100.
season is 79 points.
Yeah.
109 2 years ago. Great numbers in the playoffs. 38 points in 45 games over his career. Like,
And he's
yeah,
improving defensively. He's becoming one of the better defensive forwards as well.
yeah,
I'm not saying he's like in the top, like, 10%, but he's been
yeah.
improving.
He's
Like,
also a
over
winger,
time,
which they need because your forward core is freaking locked up. Matthews, Eichel, Jack Hughes, Dylan Larkin, JT Miller. Like, you
and
don't
now
need
Brock
more
Nelson and
centermen.
Trocheck are both natural centermen.
Yeah, like, so it also fits. Like, it fits in every category. I don't even know what's up with that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want to talk about
I
snubs?
don't either. All right. Enough with the Americans. Last but not least, we are moving on to Canada.
To
Braden, what's the
Team
roster
Canada.
here? What's the roster we're looking at?
It's a roster. It's one of the rosters of all time. The
It's one of the
forward core.
four.
The forward core. Wow, I'm glad he's right at the top of the list. Sam Bennett. Just gonna wait for the laugh track to die down. Anthony Cirelli, Sidney Crosby, Brandon Hagel, Seth Jarvis, Travis Konechny, Nathan McKinnon, Brad Marchand, Mitch Marner, Connor McDavid, Braden Point, Sam Reinhart, and Mark Stone. Then on defense, they got Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey, Colton Parayko, Alex Petrangelo, Travis Sanheim. Try not to put too much stank on him. Shea Theodore, and Devon Taves. And then absolutely star-studded in net. You got Jordan Binnington, Aiden Hill, and Sam Montembeault. They could have made a better team than this, man.
Yeah. This is the one I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, you think we
For all
drug
the
them through the
goaltenders
shit? We drug them
is,
through the shit with the US? Like,
yeah.
yikes, man.
It's giving like World Junior vibes of what Canada tried to do last year, and it
Or
did not work. In
or
a best on best.
this year with all the guys they're cutting out of it. Like,
Yeah. Where do we start? Because we can talk about it. Either forward, defenseman, or goalie. There's issues. Where do we start?
all right, so let's start with the forwards again, and let's start with the immovables, the guys we know are going to make the team the whole way, and it makes sense that they did. Connor McDavid, duh. Nathan McKinnon, duh. Mitch Marner, Braden Point, duh. Mark Stone, you might not like because the IR, but kind of duh. Like, he's going to make
Sam
the team.
Reinhart, duh.
Sam Reinhart, obviously. I think
Brad
he's still. I think
Marchand,
he's currently
he was
leading the
already
team.
named, so
Yeah,
duh.
Brad Marchand. I'd hear the argument for it. I know I'm a little more in favor of it than you, but he was named to the team previously, so we knew he'd be on here.
For me, Brandon Hagel is a duh, based on his play this season.
Yeah, he's been.
He became a duh for me.
He's been so good, and he's. A lot of people point to him and say people who aren't watching Lightning games will say, he's probably a passenger. He's probably playing with great players. No, man, he's driving his line every time he's out there. He's been so good.
Exactly. And that's why I think
Jesus Christ, Sidney Crosby, duh.
Yeah. So really, it brings it down to four, which is Sam Bennett, Seth Jarvis, Cirelli, and Konechny.
Yeah, and Cirelli
And I
is.
brought a list of what I would do, if you'd like to hear it.
All right, I want to hear.
Travis Konechny, I think, has earned a spot on the team. I think he should stay.
I agree.
Seth Jarvis, I'm assuming he's the 13th forward. If he is, that's fine. I think it's awesome for him. You probably could pick a bunch of other guys, and I'd be like, oh, that's awesome as well. So, that one, we could sit here afterwards and pick and choose if we want. Sam Bennett, out. Carter Verhaeghe, in. I'm surprised Verhaeghe.
You think Verhaeghe's mad? He has to go to practice with this dude. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure he
If it was
I'm
anyone
sure
else, it'd be fine. But it's the fact that it's Sam Bennett, they got it over him.
Like, I'm sure he likes Sam Bennett. He's a good teammate, probably, and all that. But like, he's probably sitting there going, "Fuck, man, how many goals do I got to tuck before I get in before goddamn Sam Bennett?"
Not only that, we're talking about for why. Who are we talking about with their playoff performance? Trocheck.
Trocheck.
So if that's the reason he made US allegedly, what we're assuming,
Yeah.
why is Verhaeghe not then? He's a playoff beast.
Or why is Sam Bennett? Didn't he get freaking scratched during their cup win? Their cup run?
I don't think so.
Sam Bennett. Last playoffs, 19 games played. They had to have played more than 19 games, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they played 7 in the finals.
Yeah.
Like, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure he got scratched for a good part of, I want to say it was the Ranger series. And they came back in the finals.
It kind of sounds familiar. I'm not sure. Oh, no, he got injured. Didn't he?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he got injured.
Am I thinking of even bigger shithead? Who went to
Nick Cousins.
Nick Cousins, yeah, dildo himself.
Yeah, Bennett was the one who got the elbow from Marchand.
Classic.
It took him out for a bit. And then the last one, you may not agree with it. I would take Anthony Cirelli out, and I'd replace him with Nick Suzuki. I'd even put Suzuki in over Seth Jarvis, actually.
Yeah. I don't necessarily disagree because Suzuki's very good. I think it's kind of a toss-up between the two. Cirelli's having a career year. He just got off of a 7-game goal streak. He's been so good, and obviously, he's probably going to be on a line with Hagel on that fourth line. They play together all the time, and obviously, Coach John Cooper has coached them. So that's
I think you have to split them up. I think you're doing Hagel a disservice by putting him on the fourth line, though. Yeah, actually, now that I'm looking at the team, yeah, you might be rolling the fourth line of
freaking Team Canada. Hagel should be on the fourth line. The fact that we're having this conversation shows they picked weird guys.
Yeah, I just like. I mean, Cirelli's a fantastic player. Like, he's one of the players I enjoy watching the most on Tampa. I just think Nick Suzuki brings more.
Yeah.
At this point, I'd say probably even defensively. Actually, I think Cirelli's defensive stock has really risen. While Suzuki's has been like solid for so long. I just like Suzuki's offensive upside a bit more. But again, if you're talking about like a fourth line center, you don't even need him to be that much of an offensive stud, I guess. So
yeah, that's the one thing.
I'm just shocked for Hagee was the one Florida player.
Yeah.
Snubbed.
I don't know how he's
can we say snubbed for Verhaeghe? I think we can.
I think snubbed definitely. Sam Bennett's on the team. It absolutely applies.
Like, people say snubbed for Bedard. I'm like, no, Verhaeghe's the one who did, because he's done everything you could possibly do in the last 2-3 years. Like,
yeah,
basically since he went to Florida.
If you're going based on how they've played this year, how they are so far, Celebrini's more of a snub than Bedard. He's been better.
I would agree.
This year, obviously not last year because Celebrini played 0 games. What a bum.
Yeah,
but like,
didn't even make the roster. But like this year, he's out. And I think Bedard, maybe has more points, but Celebrini has missed more games, and already at 18 years old, Celebrini's putting up some of the best, kind of defensive numbers of a forward, two-way numbers. Like, the way he's looking right now, he's a guy that could win a Hart Trophy. I don't know if he ever wins an Art Ross, maybe, but he's a guy that could win a Hart, could win a Selke. He could win basically any award.
Yeah.
Will he? I don't know, but the way he's looking at 18 is impressive. Would I put him on the team already? No. It'd be so cool to see, an 18-year-old rookie make the team. I don't think he's quite earned that yet after only 14 games or something.
Yeah, I think there's quite a list of guys that could have made it before him, but I think he's comes up on the list before Bedard.
I would agree.
If I'm honest. Or they would be close.
Yeah.
Like, people saying Bedard's a snub, he didn't make the cut. He's not being disrespected. Okay, trust me, I'm sure Team Canada and the press and everybody would have loved to have Bedard on the team, but everyone's talking about how he's having a slow season, which I think is like 16 points in 20 some games. So it's not like the sky's falling in Chicago. He's just a bit of a sophomore slump to start it. But looking at Verhaeghe's stats, man, how is this guy not here? 2 years ago, 17 points in 21 playoff games. Last year, 21 points, 11 of them goals in 24 playoff games. A lot of them super freaking clutch. Those are the guys that you want in these tournaments. That's why Lehkonen is on.
Well, there's no one else Finland could pick.
No, but I'm saying that's why I was arguing for Lehkonen to be on the top line over a guy like Aho, because some guys got that clutch gene where all of a sudden their player overall doubles when it matters. Verhaeghe's got that, man. Like the last 3 years, 73 points, 72 points, 20 points in 26 games this year, 42 goals, 34 goals, only 7 goals this year, but still 20 points. Like, he's not off the score sheet. The only thing I can see anywhere here that lends to him not being on the team is so far this season, he has a minus 16. Which the last 4 years, plus 24, plus 24, plus 10, plus 17, minus 16 this year. What's up with that?
What's Sam Bennett?
Sam Bennett is minus 5. What's the Panthers overall? There's no way they're a minus team.
But
goal differential,
yeah,
11,
I don't even think that's enough. Like, you know what Verhaeghe brings to the table. He's been one of the most clutch playoff guys in the last couple of years.
Scores goals, puts up points.
I think it might also
2-time Stanley Cup champion, proven winner.
Yeah. Like, even if it was like, a couple other guys, like if it was a Mark Scheifele, I'd be like, okay, that's that one's a fun debate, but it's like Sam Bennett, I'm like, really? I like Sam Bennett, but I'd have a Tom Wilson over a Sam Bennett.
If you're going for that play style, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I wonder if they think Sam Bennett's smarter. I wonder if they think he can go shit disturb and get away with it, where they think Wilson, they'll just pencil him in to lose him for games.
Yeah, I wonder if it's also the fact maybe Bennett got it because he can play center. Right? Like, who are the guys on Canada that are a lock to be centers?
But that
McDavid.
Like, is it just McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby?
But that's the thing. I think it might only be McDavid, McKinnon. I think Crosby might play on the wing, so you could put him with either McDavid or McKinnon. It's like, I think you've literally only got 2 guys that are like and I think Cirelli, because I think that's probably your 4th line center. So 3 centers locked in.
Yeah,
right.
You're not drafting Cirelli to move him to the wing.
Jarvis is a winger. Konechny's a winger. I think Point probably plays on the wing.
I was gonna say Point's a centerman, but he can
play
wing.
Crosby naturally center. I really do think he plays on the wing for this. I think maybe
it's that or third line, and I'm not thinking it's third line.
Reinhart winger, Hagel winger, Marchand wing, Stone wing, Marner wing. So maybe Bennett literally just got it because he can play center.
I guess Canada doesn't really have center depth. Just all their best players are. US. They're so top and heavy with centers that they need them all on those top lines, and it thins it out.
But even at that point, if you want a center, why wouldn't you bring a Mark Scheifele over Sam Bennett?
Yeah, a Mark Scheifele.
Like, Scheifele.
Does Robert Thomas play center?
Yeah.
Well, fucking Robert Thomas is.
I would take Robert Thomas over Bennett. Like, Scheifele brings the physicality and whatnot as well, and he's just better offensively.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, the Sam Bennett one. It's just he sticks out like a sore thumb on this list.
He really does.
Good player
on the forward side. He's not the only one on the team that sticks out by a wide margin. I would definitely move Sam Bennett for one of those guys. Probably definitely a Verhaeghe, and then I'd probably move out Jarvis still for a Scheifele. But
I'm indifferent on Cirelli Suzuki. Actually, looking at it, like if it was Suzuki, I'd be okay with it. I'm not even mad that it's Cirelli. Like, that's. You could go back and forth between the two. Seth Jarvis, I think, can provide good value, actually. especially with just like his tenacity, and he's just got legs for days. Like he's got a motor that doesn't quit. I'm happy Konechny's here, though. I will say, I think he
Yeah,
really earned this spot.
yeah. I definitely like that, and I'm just looking at it because it's interesting because they have such similar stats. Because if you said that at the start of the season, I would agree with you, and I don't necessarily disagree now on
Mhm.
Suzuki versus Sorelli, especially for the offensive upside, because Lightning fans have been waiting years. Like Sorelli's been so good defensively. Like he was huge in our cup wins, just going out there and having to shut down whoever's best on the other team. But he's actually putting the offense together now because last year was actually his career high in points with 45. Like that's not a massive number, but this year he's point per game with 10 of them being goals, 23 and 23. Nick Suzuki is 26 and 25, also 10 goals. Like
Yeah, yeah.
he's
So
played a couple more games, but
it's
almost
pretty
the
even,
exact same numbers offensively,
and I
which
think playing with relatively similar talent.
yeah, Suzuki's playing with Caulfield and
I think
is it still
Slavkovsky's
Slavkovsky?
back there, but I know he was out for a bit. I don't know who was filling in on that top line.
Yeah, so and you know what? To be fair, it's a lot of this same with Sorelli. It's him, Hagel, and whoever they shove on right wing on the second line. So
Yeah,
they the more I look at it, it's very comparable. I wonder if it did come down to coaching fit or something like that.
I kind of think so. I think that's probably came down to like if and like yeah, and that's fair. Like if you're John Cooper and you're sitting there like and
I know
whoever
exactly how
says,
to
all right,
deploy this guy.
we
Like,
have these like our fourth line center comes down to these two guys. Well, you're obviously just going to go with the guy that you've been coaching for years because you already know how they fully play. You know how to utilize their strengths. You can put him with a guy that he's already been playing with this year that does well. Like it
yeah,
just makes more sense to do it that way. If you're a Montreal fan, you're pissed about that. That's fine. I get that. But, you know, if I was a coach, I do the exact same thing.
yeah,
Right. I can't knock Cooper if that's what it was. I don't know if it
yeah.
was, but
I do
I get
think,
it. It's
yeah,
smart. It's good coaching. That's how
I
you
do
win.
think a large part of it is Cooper line matches so aggressively, and like we might see Hagel move up in the lineup. I think it'd be really fun to see that. But I also don't doubt that we'll see a bottom line of Sorelli, Hagel, and Konechny, and they're just going to be the shut down and fuck around with them line, and they're going to be the ones dealing with both Kachucks and Austin Matthews or something
See
like
what the
that.
problem is then? That means you're moving Bennett into the top nine. I think
Oh, he's
Bennett's the
he's
one
the
that
third.
goes on.
He's the 13th, is he not?
I think Seth Jarvis is probably gonna end up being the 13th forward. I think Konechny's in the top nine. I think he's on that third line.
Oh well, maybe.
Can Konechny play center?
I don't know.
I've for some reason I'm thinking he can't because like if you got a third line of Konechny, Marchand, and Stone, it's not a fast third line, but it'd be a fun third line.
The problem is they got fast guys on the other teams that might be able to burn him.
Yeah, because that could be a fun line. Maybe
I
Crosby does. Maybe Crosby just has to go third line center.
and I mean we
Or
hockey.
maybe Point does. Maybe you just have to do Braden Point third line
Yeah,
center.
hockey fans love talking about having center depth. You know, every time we see a rebuilding team, what are we first looking for? Franchise defenseman and that 1-2 punch down the middle. Like
Yeah.
on a stage this big, I mean, having the center depth to go, you know, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Braden Point, Anthony Sorelli.
Or
It's
even Sidney
it's
Crosby
pretty
and then
nice. Or
Cirelli.
yeah, even Sidney Crosby on the third and Point on the wing or something like. And you know what? If you have Crosby on the third, like you're probably giving the third line more than average third line minutes. Uh,
Yeah.
but you know what? that might be a better spot where now, you can still have Marchand and Crosby playing together because, Marchand on the third line, I don't hate it. Probably shouldn't be in the top 6, but third line? Yeah. So
Who do you think plays with McDavid on that top line?
what a fun question.
Right.
I like I think he's gonna end this tournament with the most points. And I think it's because he's just gonna be dishing the puck like freaking crazy. I think he's gonna have Point on his left wing, and I think he's gonna have Sam Reinhart on his right wing. Like
I don't hate that. So I also have Sam
250
Reinhart.
goal scorers. Like they're
I
think
have Sam
that'd be so
Reinhart
good.
and I have Mitch Marner.
What is team? I forgot about Mitch Marner.
I think because then I think you've got McDavid who, and again, because Reinhart and Marner are both righties, it is very easy for one of them to go play on the left wing. They've done it numerous times.
Yeah.
You've got Marner who's kind of a pass first guy. Had that I mean, it was a lot of it was Matthews, but gorgeous setup to Matthews last night. He's pass first guy. McDavid, we know he can score goals, he can pass, he does it all. And then you've got Reinhart, who's become one of the best goal scorers in the league. Like, if you've got just Marner dishing it, you've got McDavid doing whatever the fuck he wants, and you've got Reinhart ripping it. That could be a fun line there. But Point also brings a lot of speed, putting him there instead of Marner, and I don't hate that.
I'm just imagining like one of these other teams like trying to defend against that. Like how sad is it going to be when we watch Olli Mata and Juuso Välimäki try and defend a 2-on-2 against Point and McDavid or something like that? Like,
Yeah.
like fuck, that's rough, man. Like,
yeah, that would be tough. That'd be tough for any defense,
yeah.
even if it was an Adam Fox or a Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
Like, that's still tough to go up against. So who do you put with McKinnon then? Assuming McKinnon's
I did kind of forget about Mitch Marner there, but at the same time, you know what? McKinnon Marner on your second line is pretty slick. Because I like that top line, and that makes a real nice second line.
So go with the McKinnon, Marner, Crosby.
Marner. Do you go Crosby or do you go?
I think they put McKinnon and Crosby together. I really, really do.
I think they probably do. And you know what? Obviously all these guys can score, right? It's just are they pass first kind of guys? And all three typically would be, but I think they're also really good hockey minds, and especially Crosby and McKinnon would be like, okay, it can't be Crosby to Marner, Marner to McKinnon, back to Crosby forever. They're gonna know, guys, if you have the lane, shoot the damn puck. And I think that would be a really good second line.
I'm still not ruling out that they just straight up go the Nova Scotia line. They just do Crosby, Marchand with McKinnon in the middle. I'm still not ruling that out.
I think they try it at least once.
I think so.
I don't like the idea of it. I
think it could be I think it could still be very good.
I think it just does a disservice to McKinnon in his prime, and Crosby still got it. I just can't imagine Marchand.
I know you hate Marchand, but why not? You can't act like Crosby's the fastest player in the world.
No, not even
Crosby can't even keep up with McKinnon.
No, but I would say Crosby's probably closer to McKinnon. Well, I was going to say Crosby's closer to McKinnon than Marchand is to Crosby, but that's not true.
Yeah.
Because
I think Marchand skates like still be an effective player, like Mark Stone.
He's still an effective player, but you're putting
about Mark Stone. Who do you can't put him up in there then?
I might prefer Mark Stone with those two.
You can't tell me Mark Stone has a better chance of keeping up with them than Marchand.
I'm not just talking about skating. I'm talking about just being able to keep up with the play and everything. Like IQ and just knowing what's going on. The Crosby and McKinnon were both in Hart conversations last year. That's the level of guy we're talking about. I'm not saying Marchand's washed. He's going to retire next year. None of that. But like, you want a guy like Mitch Marner with them. You want a guy who is at the top of their game and is like a guy playing with caliber of that should be a guy where it's like, what's the over under on his points this year? It's at least 3 digits.
See, but I would rather still have a Marchand with a McKinnon and Crosby. So then you're not rolling a third line of Seth Jarvis, Mark Stone, and Brad Marchand or something.
Sounds like a bit of a fun third line to me.
But you don't have a center. You have to take someone out of their natural. Like you have to tell someone, hey, you got to now be a centerman.
Yeah.
When all of them are wingers, right? Like the more I look at it, I think Braden Point might actually have to play center.
That's the thing. I'm trying to think.
I think you would have to be a third line center, unless
they
Crosby
benefit
does
more
become
from
that center on the third line.
The more and more I think about it, I'm wondering if Crosby plays third line to stay as a center.
They're
definitely going to try some different stuff.
They're going to put him with McDavid or McKinnon, I think, just because we haven't got that.
But yeah, they're not going to throw the competition and not throw, but they're not going to put out not the best lineup they think possible because it's good for the brand. These guys want to win.
Well, yeah, but I think you're going to try it. Like I think Braden Point serves better as a center over Crosby right now. In terms of just the straight up speed, in terms of being able to get up in the play, get back. Like Crosby's still a great player, great hockey mind. But like if you're rolling McDavid, McKinnon, Point,
they just have so many top. It's kind of similar how
guys in the league.
They have so many top end. The way they have so many top end centers, and it kind of bunches them up at the top and makes it thin at the bottom. It feels similar for goal scoring. Obviously, a lot of these guys can put it in, but like those shoot first. I get the puck, I'm ripping it, guys. That's one of the reasons I'd like a Braden Point in the top 6 on the wing. Similar to why Sam Reinhart's got to be up in there.
I think Reinhardt's going to go with McDavid.
Probably, and rightfully so. Dude is burying the puck this year.
Like Reinhardt, on all accounts, is the best pure goal scorer on this team. In terms of being just a straight-up goal scorer.
Yeah, he's definitely got an argument for it.
Yeah, there's so many different ways they could throw these lines together.
It's
like if you could just, do you go to just bolster your center from top to bottom being lock solid? Do you go, just beef up your top 6 and then, your bottom 6 might get fed in a couple times here and there? Do you prioritize speed up top? Like there's so many different approaches, right? And the best part of it is they got one of the best coaches in the game. So they're going to be just fine. He's going to figure it out, and they're going to make it work in whatever way they go about it.
Yeah.
The defense.
We got
the elephant in the room.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So
Colton Parayko.
For things that I said when we did our previews of this, I said I think we obviously know Makar was going to make the team, but I said these 4 are going to make it for sure. I figured Cale Makar, Devon Taves, Alex Pietrangelo, and Shea Theodore, because Pietrangelo and Theodore play together in Vegas, and Devon Taves plays with Makar in Colorado. They went with that, which I don't necessarily mind because they are all good players and they know how to play with each other. But who the hell does Josh Morrissey have to pair with now? Is he playing with Colton Parayko or Travis Sanheim? Why those 2?
I don't think it's confirmed, but I think it's sounding like Sanheim's probably the 7th, and it sounds like Colton Parayko will be on that 3rd pair.
That's even goofier, because I think it should be the other way. Like, Sanheim I was pretty surprised to hear, but I was like, okay, I can at least see the vision. What the hell are they doing with Colton Parayko? What does he bring? What's his role? They
He,
didn't.
he's,
There's no
he's,
way
he's
they
he's
picked
probably
best
not going to
player.
put up a single point
Yeah,
in
they
this
didn't
whole
pick
draft. He
best
probably
player
was
for him.
pointless.
But like, what?
I get the idea of going with a Pareko because like having that, that shutdown defenseman type guy, that defensive defenseman, I get that. It's the same as how many years did Mark Edward Vlasic play for Team Canada? He didn't put up points, but he played rock solid defensive minutes and just shut down the other team. Um, but Colin Pareko wasn't even the best option for that role.
Yeah,
You could have taken a Chris Tanev. You could have. I know Colton Pareko is right-handed. Mackenzie. Oh no, Uyghur's right-handed. So you could have even went Uyghur, who, you know, I think is just as defensively sound as Pareko, and he brings a little bit of offensive upside as well.
yeah, certainly a better skater. And like I definitely take Uyghur over him. Aaron Ekblad, like easy.
I would take Aaron Ekblad over Pareko. Pareko, I'm fine with over Noah Dobson, over Evan Bouchard, over Dougie Hamilton. I'm okay with that.
I don't think I'm even okay with
But
any of those three.
but a Uyghur and an Ekblad, though,
Like
I would take
he
all the
is
time over Pareko.
Pareko is such a like such a downgrade in overall skill that I can't even see the argument for like we have this specific deployment for him. Like he's gonna be uh playing on the third pair in sheltered minutes and be on the penalty kill. Like even that, it's like his level of play is so much lower than everyone else on this team that it's I would have preferred you just pick the guy with the most skill and shove him in wherever.
I disagree with that. Um, like
Like
I don't think it does any good for Team Canada having Evan Bouchard or Noah Dobson, maybe Dougie Hamilton. But like Dobson and Bouchard bring like zero defensive awareness to their games, really. They're just forwards playing defense, so you can't even utilize your strengths on the power play. You can put them out there on the penalty kill, but it doesn't help you having them out there on the penalty kill. So having a guy like Pareko that can kind of take, so you don't have to roll Makar on the power play penalty kill 5-on-5. Same with Petrangelo. It does take a little bit of weight off them, which I do understand. But I would have rather had Mackenzie Weegar or an Aaron Ekblad, guys that I think have earned the right to be on this team, uh, and are better suited for that role. Even Chris Tanev, like if you want a guy like, we don't want a guy to put up any points, we just want to shut down defensemen. Why not Chris Tanev then over Pareko at least?
Yeah, we have Jacob Slavin at home. Like at
Yeah.
least pick the best guy for that job. They didn't even do that. Like
Yeah, which is why I can't understand this pick whatsoever.
yeah, it's
For
rough.
Sanheim, I can understand. I think he's
I
been
get that
really,
more.
really solid. And I think it's fair that he's earned this.
I
would still
more.
probably take a Uyghur or an Aaron Ekblad.
I was gonna say, like he has 15 points in 25 games as a defenseman. He's a +2 on Philadelphia, which is pretty impressive. But I definitely like it way more than Pareko. I still would take out Pareko and Sanheim and go Aaron
I probably
Ekblad,
still would
Mackenzie
take
Weegar.
out, and I'd be okay with that. I think Drew Doughty makes this team if he's healthy. I think he 100% is that over Pareko.
What do you think about Devon Taves?
I'm not pumped about it. I know everyone's like, oh, you just put him with Makar, and I think Makar would do better in this playing aside of Josh Morrissey.
Yeah, like
playing alongside a Shea Theodore, I think Makar does better.
Devon Taves does well with Makar. Most
but
guys
I think Makar
probably
would do well with others.
Yeah, like
right. So that's the thing.
Like I'm not saying he's a bum, but if you take the majority of legitimate, solidified top 4 defensemen in the league, put them with Makar, they're gonna look like top 20 defensemen. That's just how it works playing with, generational talent like that. But like they just could have done something a lot more fun with it there.
Honestly, and it's even the way he's been playing this year, I would take a Jake Wallman over Devon Taves.
I mean,
Jake Walman's numbers have been
I haven't watched enough of them, but
outstanding offensively and
yeah,
defensively. I think he would again. Would I put Walman on the team? No, but I would take him probably over Devon Taves right now.
yeah, it's just I get what they're going for, and you want
What
to
did
keep
you
guys
have for
together and
your
stuff.
defensive when you did the predictions? What were your 7 defensemen? I
So
know you had Makar, Taves, Petrangelo, Theodore.
so I went Taves and Makar, Theodore Petrangelo, Morrissey and Bouchard, and Mackenzie Weegar as the extra.
Like I think Makar is better
Makar,
alongside Josh Morrissey than a Devon Taves or a Theodore.
yeah,
Maybe
the
even a Sandheim, honestly.
two guys I think Makar would be really fun playing with are Josh Morrissey. I guess Evan Bouchard's or not Bouchard. Mackenzie Weegar is right-handed. He's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
But I
Yeah.
believe he's one of those guys that has played on the left because they've put stints with him with Anderson. I'm pretty sure. So I'm pretty sure Uyghur's one of those guys that actually has logged decent time on the left side.
Because Makar and Uyghur would be really fun.
That'd be a fun pair.
And then having Theodore Petrangelo.
I'm
It's a
fine with
similar
that.
situation, but I think both guys have a very legitimate claim to be on the team, so I don't mind it.
Both guys have earned it through their play over the last however long.
Yeah. Like if
including in this year.
If they went with Makar, Uyghur, Theodore Petrangelo, and then like Morrissey, Ekblad, like I just feel like
way more.
That would just be so good.
Yeah, I would have much more faith in their defense if it was that 100%. Like again, I get why Taves goes because it's like, oh, that's kind of Makar's guy. Taves has been good over the last few years, but in a tournament like this where you've got the option to put because you can't. I don't think you can put Taves with anyone else. Like I think you kind of have to put.
No, yeah,
Taves. Like I'm not putting Taves and Parayko together. That would be awful.
That's a far cry from what Team Canada used to look like.
That's a hockey horror movie in the making right there. Like you have to just put Taves with Makar, Theodore and Petrangelo makes sense. And then I guess you just go Morrissey and Parayko. Kind of sucks for Josh Morrissey, but I guess that's
I wonder if I was gonna say I wonder if Taves is like the seventh defenseman and gets
why even bring him
cycled in to be with Makar if Makar's not working with somebody else, but
I can't imagine Makar doesn't.
You're telling me you're gonna have Colt Parayko on the team and somebody else is scratched? Like it's just
there's some questionable decisions there.
The Devon Taves one I don't hate near as much because at least we know what we're getting with him and Makar. I just think it'd be fun to do the what if and try him with somebody better.
Exactly right.
Yeah, some definite question marks back there, and they had great other options. Another spot where we have probably a couple of issues with, and definitely a weak point for Team Canada, the crease, goaltending.
Yeah. I mean, Bennington Hill, based on their play this year, like, I don't love it, but I understand the thought process behind it. I understand it, and I can respect it because it is 2 Stanley Cup winning goalies. Right? Like, that holds value.
Yeah.
To it. Especially guys that elevated, like, that, you can say, oh, I mean, St. Louis doesn't win without Bennington coming out of nowhere and stealing the show. As good as Vegas was, Vegas doesn't win if Aiden Hill doesn't stand on his head in the playoffs. Like, his numbers were terrific that year. Good teams in front of him, but those teams don't win without the goalies.
Conversation for the Conn Smythe. Like
Montembeault, people are upset about it, but I'm not going to sit here and complain about a third goalie who I don't even think he suits up for any of the games. He's just kind of there if there's an injury. I wouldn't mind a Logan Thompson, Cam Talbot, Mackenzie Blackwood, any one of the three, but
Yeah, those are
it's
the
the
main
third
three.
goalie, so I'm not even really too rattled by that.
I'm trying to think of, out of those six, those three you just mentioned, and then the three that made the team, what my top three would be and who I think should be on. And I think you go, if it were up to me, I would go Jordan Binnington, Cam Talbot, and probably Logan Thompson.
So I'm Jordan Binnington, Aiden Hill, and Logan Thompson.
Okay.
Those are my three.
And then
after that's probably then Talbot, Blackwood, and then Montembeault.
He's just so consistently put up great numbers when surrounded with any level of talent.
And that is true.
Like in his last,
But like you could make the argument as well when you're talking about, well, Logan Thompson's a tough one because he's only played for good teams, but he's put up good numbers, so I think he's earned that spot.
yeah.
But like Blackwood put up solid numbers with a bad San Jose team. Talbot's putting up exceptional numbers with a bad Detroit team.
Yeah, like, yeah.
I think Thompson does deserve to be here, though.
Yeah, not only do I think Talbot should be on the team, I think he should get first crack at being the starter, if I'm honest. His last 6 seasons, like 919, 915, 911, an 898 on the Senators 3 years ago, so that's not great. But also Linus Ullmark isn't even putting up those numbers with the Sens.
Yeah.
And a 913 last year, and then a 915 this year. Like, very consistently, like, bordering elite numbers. And he did those with almost different team every year. The Flames, 2 years with the Wild, the Sens, the Kings, and now the Red Wings.
I think this, but I'm gonna ask you: do you think the original plan for Canada was to go Binnington, Hill, Decord? And then once they found out that Joey Decord wasn't eligible to play for them, they went with Montembeault. I don't think there'd be that much stuff coming about Joey Decord
so probably
if they weren't hoping he would be on the team.
I think he could have been on the team, could he not?
No, not for this. He's ineligible to play for, because this is an NHL thing, right? So I believe what it is Joey Decord would, because what is it? Because he, it's so tough with Joey Decord because I know
he's got dual citizenship.
He's a Swiss Canadian American goaltender.
Yeah, he's actually got 3 citizenships. He's got Swiss, American, and Canadian citizenship. He was born in the States, but his father was born in Montreal, so he has dual citizenship. And I believe he grew up in Canada as well. But yeah, it looks like a few days ago they because there was a lot of talk about it with the NHL of who is he going to play for? Can he play for both? What, in the insane scenario where they decide not to go with what they did in the States, what if they both want him? And they did end up making a decision, and they did say that he was ineligible to be on Team Canada, not because
he doesn't have a Canadian passport.
Because he doesn't have a Canadian passport.
And this is the thing.
They're just making shit up as they go, man.
No, because this is an NHL thing, right? So I understand it, because this is a tournament exclusively done through the NHL and the NHLPA.
Sure.
If this was a double IHF tournament, he could play for Canada because of the rules and regulations for the double IHF.
What are the rules that stop him for the NHL, though?
I don't fully know, because this is kind of a brand new thing that I think this is kind of the NHL's first time doing something like this.
Yeah.
So I don't fully know all of it. But yeah, he wasn't allowed because he didn't have the passport.
Yeah.
But again, if it was a double IHF, he would have. I think he'd have his pick. He could play for Canada. He could play for Switzerland. He could play for US as well.
Yeah, I think I think he could have for this as well. I think they just got confused and made a dumb decision. Like they did not have this passport rule drawn up before. They totally had to make this on the fly. And
No, there's no, we're not going to go down that road of
well, what
the NHL's
you're
trying to
telling me this
sewer
guy has
Canada.
lived in Canada? He's a legal Canadian citizen, and they went, "You don't have a passport." Are they checking everyone's passports? You tell me they had to ask Crosby for a passport before he got put on the team. They're not
Yeah,
checking.
maybe.
They're not checking for passports. They're
It
just
had to have been
assuming.
part of the rules and regulations beforehand, though.
No, they
Yeah,
thought
no,
it.
I'm not
They
going to go down the road of they're trying to sewer Canada. That's
no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they were trying to figure something out,
but the court
and
could have.
this
You
random
you
thing
have the
came up, and
option
they
of
were like,
getting in Canada. You have the option of getting a passport in one day. So if the court really wanted to play, he could have.
"Yeah, he could. He
It
could
was
go get
his
a passport."
decision to not
Yeah,
dig it.
I'm not saying he got screwed out of it. Like I haven't seen anything about it. Like the instant that any of that came out, he'd be like, "Guys, I'm gonna go get a passport. Draft me onto the team." Like,
Yeah,
but
I don't know why he didn't. Like I think he would have been a shoo-in for over Montembeault,
yeah,
especially if Canada
if
was
he
like
was eligible, he
inquiring
would
on
have
him
been.
already.
I think he would have been my starter if
I,
he was
I
with them.
agree.
Like,
I
or
think if he
at
made the team, I'd
least
put him as
gets
starter.
a chance to prove it. So
Yeah,
I do
he'd be a
wonder.
starter for me. Looking at the goaltenders here, he would have been the starter for me
Yeah,
for sure. So I don't know why he didn't. Like I wonder if maybe just he just doesn't want to play for Canada. Like I wonder if when it's the Olympics, he's probably. I wonder if maybe he just says, "Hey, I want to go be the guy for Switzerland."
yeah,
Like that very well could just be it. Maybe that's just his. It's the same way as William Nylander could play for Canada, but he chooses to you know play for Sweden because that's just what he's known. That's kind of where he's always played. So he just wants to stick with it, and fair enough to him. So I wonder if maybe that was just a.
yeah. His team's in the States. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
it's
he just
interesting because Canada
maybe he doesn't.
would have been so nice having him.
Yeah,
I would have felt more comfortable with Canada's goaltending if the
yeah,
court was there.
absolutely. And yeah, yeah, I don't necessarily think they're trying to like screw Canada by keeping Joey Decord out of the tournament, but I think
I think it would have had to have been in the rules somewhere prior to it because they
I
would have had
just
to prepare for everything like that.
I don't think there's I don't think there's really crazy rules written up for all this stuff. They just kind of made up the Four Nations a year or two ago, and here are the I don't know if they even have like full GMs or if it's just like a group of assistant GMs per team, but I think a lot of it's just like the base, you know, pick pick your guys. It's the Four Nations thing, so obviously they have to be NHL players, but I imagine this was just a thing they didn't expect to ever come up, and they just somebody made a decision.
So Decord. So here it says Decord he was born in Boston. His dad is Canadian, but his mother is from Switzerland. So he is a Canadian citizen. Well, he's got citizenship in all three. It sounds like, but
I believe so. Yeah,
it says yeah he does not own a Canadian passport, which is a required documentation to represent a country
to represent a country. Is that
in this tournament.
I guess.
So I don't know. I guess maybe every player on Canada, I guess they're
Yeah,
gonna have to check for that.
it's just
It's it's a weird
it's such
rule.
a bizarre
It is.
thing.
Yeah,
Like you
I've
just
never heard
know
of
that they're
anything like
not
this before.
checking every guy's passport. Like I
Well,
just
they
can't
have
see it.
to. They have to
Well, they quote unquote have to do a lot of things.
because the tournament could completely implode if Crosby comes out and says, "Yeah, no, they never checked any of our stuff. They just pick and choose, and then Just
And
like
then
that, the NHL's kind of up in flames and controversy over
no,
this tournament now.
no, because who's gonna care?
Canadians would
We
be like,
know
you banned
Crosby's. He should
the
be on the
Crosby part.
$5 bill. We don't care if he's got a passport. Of course, he's
No,
representing us.
no, but it's more for the thing of how can you say Decord can't play, but you're not checking anyone else's stuff?
Exactly, and that's where some of the controversy could be. But I
That's why I'm saying they're probably going to check everybody's stuff just to make sure everybody's actually properly eligible to represent. I also don't think it matters for certain players who, like, I don't think Crosby's an Amer. I don't think, at least, that Crosby's like an American citizen.
he
He
might
could be.
be.
I don't
He's
know
lived
for
there for
sure.
20 years, but
Yeah, but
he's
there's lots
definitely a
of guys that
Canadian citizen.
come down and just they. I don't know exactly, but like they, yeah, I don't know for sure. So maybe it's only for players that you know have multiple citizenships. I really don't know. It
Yeah,
would have been
it
nice if
just
the NHL kind of put out a whole kind of rule thing for it
yeah,
prior, being like, these
exactly.
are all the rules, regulations, because
Nobody had
it's
ever
not a
heard
double
of
IHF event.
this until then. That's kind of why I think it's something because they're like it's this big multiple billion-dollar organization and operation with all these teams in the NHL. You figure things are a lot more tight than they are. It's really still just a lot of dudes figuring shit out and making money having hockey games go on. Like
Mm-hmm.
Cap Friendly went down. We heard about all the teams, including the Toronto Maple Leafs, who on their own are worth like freaking 4 billion or something. Like all these teams were in shambles. They don't know the rules to some of their contracts. Like they don't know where they are cap wise because there's just a website because the NHL doesn't provide them with any of that. Like
Yeah.
it's there there's a lot of areas where they do very well and then there's a lot of areas that, you know, who are we going to hire a guy to enforce section 24 article E,
Right.
you need a passport? Like
So
that's just a
I've got a
random
thought
part
here.
that
I've got a thought here, and we're not going to jump down this rabbit hole too much because there's still lots of stuff going on with it.
sure.
But clearly, there's still stuff going on because there's a reason Russia isn't a part of this.
Yeah.
Same way that even in the IIHF stuff, Russia's still not a part of it.
Yeah.
I wonder if with the NHL, the passport thing maybe stems from somewhere in there. If you potentially do have, some really good Russian players that have dual citizenship, maybe it's to kind of it very well. I'm not saying it is, but maybe it's just something to. So they're still, trying to keep Russia out of it until everything kind of blows over and they can reintroduce them back into, you know, everything because they're kind of just blacklisted from every
Yeah.
hockey tournament right now, regardless of whether it's an NHL thing or a IIHF. I wonder
Yeah.
if it's maybe something to do with that. Like I don't know, but
Maybe
could be.
like obviously, these guys, guys like Ovechkin. Ovechkin's lived here for 2 decades. He could easily, I don't know if he is, but he could easily at this point have US citizenship living here this long, have a
Yeah.
passport. But obviously he would want to represent Russia. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I I would say probably not, just because if anything, that would almost be a vector, an easier way for them to be like, see, I even have the documentation that I could play for somebody else. If they want to keep Russian players out of playing for other teams, I don't even know.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know
I
for sure. It's just a
I
thought,
don't
but
think so, but you know what? It is a an interesting thought because they've never done something like this before. They probably did make a couple of rules, you know, besides the blanket. These are the 4 teams we're not doing Russia.
yeah.
But it is interesting that there's not a
Like, it
single
would be
Russian
crazy if
player that's gotten
Kaprizov was like, "Hey, I'm joining the
yeah,
Americans." It
yeah.
would be wild.
No, well, no, it wouldn't be wild for Kaprizov for once, actually.
Oh, good point,
Normally it
actually, yeah.
is.
Very good point. But who knows? Either
Who
way,
knows?
Canada's goaltending, we knew was gonna be by far the worst. Even with Joey Daccord, it's still the worst of the 4.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to rely on on their big dogs up front too. And Colton Parayko to play good defense.
Maybe they're just
They're
going to play
gonna have
4-on-5, and Colton Parayko is going to take up the entire bottom of the net, so that Binnington only
Yeah.
has to worry about high shots.
And you know what? 4-on-5, Canada probably still beats Finland. No offense to Finland, but there's a reason you're the massive underdogs in this tournament.
Yeah. Love to see him pull off a couple upsets.
Yeah, I would love it. I'm looking forward to this tournament. I'm very curious to see how it goes. Just on the fact of, again, we're finally seeing best on best again. This is something being done by the NHL, not the IIHF. So I'm curious to see, how smoothly this goes, and if,
how's the reffing?
Yeah.
Is it NHL reffing, or is it IIHF? Like, don't they get suspended?
I think it's all still. I think it's all still just NHL rules because it's an NHL event. So they're doing it sounds like just NHL rules.
And you know what? I wonder if that that probably plays into Sam Bennett making the team and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you know what? If NHL rules, unfortunately, you got to be more specific. Is this NHL playoff rules or is this regular season rules? Because it's probably going to have a more playoff feel to it.
Yeah, that's very true. I would hate, because it's, what is a tournament again? It's every team plays each other once, and then I think it's just the top 2 teams play each other in a final game. There would be nothing worse than having in the round robin, it'd be like regular season, but then for that final game, they change up and they treat it like a playoff game, and the reffing's different.
That'd be brutal.
That would be terrible, especially considering it's just only one final game. That would be terrible if that happened.
Yeah. Dude,
Wes McCauley's got to ref that final game, right?
Probably. I don't know if he necessarily should, but
he's like the face of NHL officials. I feel like they're 100%.
I mean,
probably have him mic'd up too for it and everything.
I don't know if he should be. I don't think he's one of the best refs. He's not the worst, but he's definitely not the best. But
he calls a fair game, though. That's the thing. He may miss some calls and whatnot, but he does call it fair down the middle.
Yeah, most of the time, better than a lot of them. But
I mean, there's not many refs you can be like, oh, they always call it completely fair. But I think McCauley's one of them that you can say he's up there for being one of at least the more fair refs. There's another one. His name's slipping my mind. But
yeah, I'd love to argue
he knows who he is
for or against, but Wes McCauley's one of the only refs we know the names of.
Yeah, I know the other guy's name's just slipping. See if I can find it here.
Am I Kelly Sutherland? No. What? No, I don't. Never mind. I don't even know who that is.
Dan O'Rourke, I think that's what I'm thinking of. Anywho, I think we're kind of at the end of.
No, Kelly Sutherland is a ref. Okay.
Oh yeah,
I pulled a name out of my ass. I don't remember if he's good or not.
We're now well over the 2-hour mark here, so I think this is the time where we say our goodbyes and wrap this one up.
Yeah, I really hope this is a fun tournament to watch. I hope it is run like the IIHF, where reffing is very, very seldomly the talking point afterwards. Very few times are people saying the refs cost them this game. Like, it seems to be always called down the middle. It's called consistently, and they call it strictly, which can suck, but I would prefer that because it means we're not talking about Crosby was going to score and then he got clutched, grabbed, and the puck taken away. Like, that's worse than a guy getting away with it is worse than soft calls, in my opinion. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see what kind of reffing we get. And these are 4 very talented teams. It's going to be so fun to watch. Best on best again. It's been so long. Fucking gutted that Stamkos didn't make the team. Probably shouldn't at this point.
He's another one that
but goddamn,
Yes, it's another tough one.
just never was able to represent his country on the grandest stage, and that sucks so hard.
Yeah,
Like,
that is very
like
unfortunate.
I hope he gets to coach the team one day or something. Like,
Just be involved in some
hell, if
capacity.
he can stay a 40-goal guy for the next 2 years and make it to the Olympics, I am so down for that. Even if he does it in a ugly
I
yellow
think there's still
jersey.
potential for it. I think there's a chance if I really don't think his slow start with Nashville helped. I would be very,
I
very
think he
curious to
probably made
see.
the team if he was around a point per game.
I think he'd be on the team if he was still on Tampa.
Yeah,
I think he'd be on the team if he was.
he absolutely would, because he'd have 14 power play goals already.
Yeah. Not only
Watching
that, but just because
watching us
he
try
would
and
still be
find a
there
guy that works there.
with all the boys and whatnot as well.
The vibes.
Yeah, the vibes.
Oh, dude, it breaks my heart watching him do interviews. He's so sad there. I hate it. Like,
I think he'd be
dude,
happier if the team wasn't dog shit. I think he'd
no,
be
and
a
that's
little
it.
bit
Like,
more
they'll ask him
happy.
after the game, like, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, we got down a couple goals, and instead of guys digging in and proving why they're here and stuff, they're just giving up. And he's like, he's just
Yeah.
pissed. He's never been in a place with that, you know,
Walker just in shambles.
I was gonna say, kind of sounds like they don't have a great culture there.
Yeah, well,
So
and
what?
that can happen when you go out and bring in a bunch of big name players and say, "Hey, let's make it all work." It can be tough.
Yeah, it sucks.
But that does wrap up everything we got for this episode. We hope you guys enjoyed another episode of the Stick 'em Up podcast. Braden, give us your final thought here. One singular thought.
I thought going into this, I thought Team Canada was going to be my pick after the teams were announced to win. Right now, I think my pick is Team USA. The defense
It's a very
picks
good
were
pick.
shocking on the Canadian side.
Yeah, it was. Right now, I think the Americans are the favorite, and I think Canada, Sweden, and Finland, which makes sense. We are obviously rooting for Canada,
despite
but
them not picking Robertson.
Yeah, actually.
Huge
But
omission.
if you guys out there want to let us know your thoughts on these rosters, who you think should be on the team, who shouldn't be, who you think is going to win, you can let us know on any of our socials down below there in the description of every episode across all platforms. So you go down there, click a link, come over, talk hockey. Let us know what you think. Once again, we hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys out on the ice next week on Tuesday.